Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 4391. Someone is going to challenge again. I think it's a student from Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy. Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy? I really don't want to see those beauties being bullied by those void demons. Hey, look, isn't that Ran Ran who just joined our Donghuang Yangwu Academy? The one who defected with Kong Shinmu. Hey, it's really her. I didn't expect her to actually come. Not only her, but Kong Shinmu also came personally. I just saw him walking with two beauties from Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy. This Kong Shinmu, to be honest, I'm really envious of him. He's the center of attention wherever he goes. After all, his cultivation talent is extremely high. Otherwise, even if he wanted to defect, Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy wouldn't want him. Everyone was discussing animatedly. In this training ground in the starry sky, there was a huge protective barrier that spanned across the entire space. This was the place where Dragonforce Academy's students were allowed to train with the void demons. Many Yonghuang Academy's students had to come up with a plan to deal with each void demon, even if it was just a low-level devil soldier. Only then would they go up to challenge. Moreover, every time they challenged, the Dragonforce Academy's students would suffer more serious injuries. For the time being, they couldn't continue fighting and had to retreat to the side to recuperate. Therefore, there weren't many teams that went up to challenge. Basically, there would only be one team that went up to challenge every 4 hours. Many of the students that were injured and challenged were recuperating around the challenge platform while observing the situation on the platform. To them, if they wanted to continuously challenge higher levels and gain more experience points, they had to make use of the limited time they had to gain a better understanding of the void demons. When Ran Ran's team of 5 went up to challenge, many people in the surroundings started gossiping and pointing at Ran Ran's team. In her team of 5, other than Liang Xiao and herself, the other 3 were all beauties. After all, they were students from Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy, so they were mostly female. There were students from the 4 academies in the surroundings. Furthermore, there were students from all regions, including the Dragon Emperor. Of course, most of them were Dragon King level students from the Alcade region. For Dragon Emperor, as well as some of the core district students, the challenges of the Alcade district students were nothing worth seeing. They were just going in to be beaten up by the void monsters. Even the weakest void monster could directly crush the Alcade district students. The difference was how many moves the students of the Alcade district could withstand. They weren't interested in it either. However, this time, many people looked at Ran Ran with great interest. Most of them were students from Donghuang Yangwu College and Emperor Shi Longwu Academy. The students of these 2 academies all knew that Ran Ran had been transferred from Donghuang Yangwu College to Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy. As for whether or not she had defected, many people couldn't say for sure, so they didn't bother to think about it. Right now, they only wanted to know how strong Ran Ran had become after leaving Donghuang Yangwu College and joining Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy. One had to know that it hadn't been long since she left Donghuang Yangwu College. As for Donghuang Yangwu College, she had only joined for a short while before leaving. In other words, Ran Ran had only joined Dragonforce Academy for a short period of time. In such a short period of time, how much could she have improved? Usually, the newcomers of Dragonforce Academy wouldn't even form a team with them to undergo demonic experiential training. That was because this required experienced teammates with powerful combat strength and keen senses. This was the foundation of fighting against demonic creatures. However, Ran Ran had only joined Dragonforce Academy for a short period of time. Why would someone be willing to form a team with her? The students of Donghuang Yangwu College wanted to see Ran Ran's current strength. If Ran Ran's performance was too weak, they would undoubtedly ridicule her. Many of the spectating students of Emperor Shi Dragonforce Academy were also looking at Ran Ran with interest. Some of them had seen Ran Ran and Liang Zhao's battle before. At that time, the victor hadn't been decided yet. They always felt that the dean was biased. After all, Liang Xiao wasn't weak. If the battle continued, he might not necessarily lose to Ran Ran. Who would have thought that Ran Ran would actually form a team with Liang Xiao to challenge the demonic creatures in the void? Currently, the strongest team from the Brilliance District has 6 people. Even after joining forces, they were attacked by the inferior Devil Soldier for 5 moves. I wonder how long Ran Ran's team can last. Many people raised their heads in anticipation. Coincidentally, there were no other teams challenging the demonic creatures. Liang Xiao led Ran Ran and the other 3 girls forward and saw the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors. They were all powerful Dragon Emperor instructors from the 4 great Dragon Force academies. They were arranged here to preside over matters related to the demonic creatures in the void. Kang Xinmu had never seen the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors before. Kang Xinmu hadn't even seen the instructors in charge of Emperor Shi Academy and East Emperor Academy, let alone those from North Desolate Academy and South Emperor Academy. There should be many Dragon Emperor instructors in the 4 great Dragon Force academies. Many of them have been cultivating diligently. It's rare for outsiders to see them. Now that the demonic creatures are invading, these Dragon Emperor instructors seem to have been assigned missions. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. These Dragon Emperor instructors who were cultivating in seclusion didn't know about the recent happenings. They also didn't know about Ran Ran and Kang Xinmu. After all, to them, the Brilliance District and Alioth District were too low of a level. Those who could enter their eyes were at least students from the districts with the word heaven in their names. Therefore, the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors didn't have any expression in their eyes when they saw Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, and the other 4. You are here to challenge? Register first. One of the middle-aged Dragon Emperor instructors took out a jade scroll and asked Liang Xiao to register their identities. 4 girls and 1 guy from Emperor Shi Academy, right? One of the beautiful Dragon Emperor instructors was wearing a red dress. She was extremely beautiful and exuded a fatal temptation. Yet, she also concealed an extremely terrifying aura. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly and she encouraged Liang Xiao and Ran Ran, Emperor Shi Academy's Brilliance District students from Dragon Force Academy. Your performance in the past few days was only average. I hope you can impress others. This beautiful Dragon Emperor instructor was one of the Dragon Emperor instructors from Emperor Shi Academy. Her divine dragon blood essence had already reached the 8th level of the Dragon Emperor level. She wasn't far away from becoming a super divine dragon. Of course, it wasn't that easy to break through, but she had already seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Existences of this level weren't usually seen in Dragon Force Academy. No one knew where they cultivated and where they got their cultivation resources. In any case, the experience points of Dragon Force Academy weren't enough to satisfy them. Chapter 4392. Hee hee. A skinny middle-aged Dragon Emperor tutor laughed in disdain. Many people say that before entering. Unfortunately, there are not many who can withstand more than a few moves from void demons. I hope you won't wet your pants. This person was the Northern Desolate Dragon Academy's Dragon Emperor tutor. Although they did not care much about the Dragon Academy's matters, they were still rather proud of their respective academies. Therefore, they would attack other Dragon Academy students whenever they had the chance. Liang Xiao and the other 4 were rather indignant at this tutor's words. This Dragon Emperor tutor might be from another academy, but wasn't it too much to attack the students like this? Liang Xiao and Ran Ran were naturally confident in themselves. They did not speak. After all, with their status, they could not refute a Dragon Emperor tutor, even if he was from another academy. The 5 of them entered the protective barrier hand in hand and waited for the trial to begin. After they entered, the tutors outside began to make arrangements. Not long after, the weakest void demon, which was a first-tier rebirth tribulation demonic soldier, was sent into the protective barrier. Everyone became interested. Even the Yuheng district and Migres district students who were recuperating looked towards the protective barrier. Some of the stronger students were still very interested in the battle. Although they could not be bothered to speak at other times, they would still pay attention when the battle was about to begin. After all, every demonic soldier had different methods, different strengths, and different combat styles. They needed to observe more battles to gain more combat experience. If they only relied on their own trials, the number and variety of void demons they had seen were too few. It was completely insufficient for them to understand the void demons. That's a void demon, the weakest demonic soldier. Liang Xiao and the other four stared at the demonic soldier that was locked inside the protective barrier. It was a black creature with 6 limbs and was hundreds of meters long. Before the 5 of them transformed into dragons, this demonic soldier could be said to be as huge as a skyscraper. Dragon transformation. As soon as Liang Xiao said that, the 5 of them transformed into their respective divine dragon forms. As they transformed into dragons, the chains around the inferior devil soldier exploded. The captured inferior devil soldier was finally released. What followed next was the most primitive slaughter. Without any hesitation, the inferior demon soldier flew towards Liang Xiao. Black qi erupted from its body, condensing into rolling black clouds that turned into a pitch-black storm. The demonic soldier's forte seemed to be speed. This burst of speed left Liang Xiao and the other 4 practically unable to react. The first move. The 4 Dragon Emperor instructors outside the arena began to count, and their expressions became serious. In the arena, the 5 students reacted as fast as they could against the inferior demon soldier's sneak attack. After all, they were elites of the Dragon Martial Academy, and their battle strength and talent were considered top-notch among all the dragon martial artists. It was impossible for them to be defeated so easily. Get into formation, defend. Their mission was to defend. Therefore, they had no intention of attacking the inferior demon soldier. When the demon soldier attacked, Liang Xiao immediately followed his original plan and took out his dragon weapon, turning it into a blood-red talent power to block the 5 of them. Liang Xiao was the inferior demon soldier's target. Once Liang Xiao was killed, the 5 of them would fail the challenge. As long as Liang Xiao could withstand this move, they would be considered to have withstood the inferior demon soldier's attack. So fast. Almost at the same time that Liang Xiao's dragon weapon turned into a blood-red barrier in front of him, the inferior demon soldier's attack had already arrived. The pitch-black storm instantly swept over, completely shattering Liang Xiao's blood-red barrier. So powerful. The impact of the opponent's attack was completely beyond what Liang Xiao could defend against. His defense was almost shattered upon contact. But at this moment, the other 4 arrived to help. Among them, other than Ran, the other 3 girls each used their defensive dragon skills, forming 3 layers of defense in front of Liang Xiao. In addition to using their defensive dragon skills, they also used their respective dragon weapons. This was to prevent accidents from happening, so they used their full strength from the start. At the same time, Ran also released her heavenly sacred halberd. At the same time, her pitch-black dragon body swept forward, directly blocking in front of Liang Xiao. Her physical defense was much stronger than Liang Xiao's. Once the defense was broken, it was clear that she was more suitable to block. After all, she had just cultivated the chaotic dragon body. This move came from Kang Xinmu's powerful body-tempering dragon martial technique. Bang bang bang. 3 consecutive explosions came from in front of Ran. The defensive dragon martial technique that the other 3 students had condensed was actually broken by the opponent in an instant. The black storm violently rolled over and landed on Ran's black dragon body with a loud bang. The opponent was too fast, so fast that they could only casually use their defensive dragon skills and did not have time to condense them to their strongest state. At this moment, Ran was hit by the opponent head-on and was sucked into the black storm. The people outside could not help but boo. This is too weak. Is this the level of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy? Didn't that Ran defect from Donghuang Yongwu College? No wonder Donghuang Yongwu College doesn't want her. This combat strength is too weak, right? This team is too weak. The inferior demon soldier is also known for its speed. It's normal that they can't block it, the crowd discussed. However, the 4 Dragon Emperor mentors did not say anything, nor did they send help. This was because they could already feel that Ran's life was not in danger. Although the inferior demon soldier was fast, because of this, it sacrificed a certain amount of attack power. Although its attack looked fierce, its actual destructive power was not as strong as imagined. Liang Xiao and the other 3 girls' defensive means had already offset at least half of the impact of the opponent's attack. The remaining half of the attack power blasted onto Ran, but it could not kill Ran at all. Immediately after, the heavily injured slender black dragon flew out of the storm and crashed onto the edge of the protective barrier. It was as if the whole place shook. Weak, too weak. But it's already good that she's not dead. Many dragon martial artists sneered. However, they did not expect that after Ran was seriously injured, the dark dragon filth technique in her body would circulate wildly. The dark dragon filth technique, which had long been cultivated to the heaven grade, was a high-level source dragon martial technique. Her serious injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Before the inferior demon soldier could react, Liang Xiao and the other 3 had already set up a second defense. As for Ran, she flew back to the battlefield after a short while. She had completely recovered from her injuries. This scene caused many people in the surroundings to stare with their eyes wide open. Chapter 4393. After Ran cultivated the chaotic dragon body, her defense was greatly enhanced. Of course, the defense of Liang Xiao and the other 3 could not go unnoticed. Without their defense to weaken the attack of the inferior demon soldier, Ran would not have been able to block the opponent's attack. Of course, the main reason why they dared to challenge the opponent was because of Ran. If even Ran could not block the attack, then no one in the Alcade zone could block the attack of the inferior demon soldier. Now, someone could challenge the level of blocking 5 attacks from the inferior demon soldier. It was reasonable that Ran could block 1 attack from the inferior demon soldier. Let's continue. Ran recovered from her injuries. Her body glowed with a black light, shocking everyone around her. Seeing Ran's recovery speed, the skinny middle-aged man from the Northern Wilderness Dragon Martial Academy, one of the 4 Dragon Emperor instructors, turned gloomy. The origin dragon martial technique of every Dragon Martial Academy was an extremely precious resource. The reason why it could only be exchanged with a sufficient amount of experience points was to prevent it from being leaked to the outside world. If it could be obtained easily, it would be easy for it to be leaked to the outside world. Now that there was a limit of a large amount of experience points for sparring, it reduced the possibility of it being leaked to the outside world while training the students. In particular, the high-grade origin dragon martial technique was a secret exclusive to the Dragon Martial Academy. For example, the Dark Dragon Inferiority Art was a powerful high-grade origin Dragon Martial Academy technique. Although the skinny middle-aged teacher from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy couldn't be sure if Ran had cultivated the Dark Dragon Filth Controlling Art, it was very likely that she had. Furthermore, she had cultivated it to the peak, the Dark Dragon Filth Controlling Art of Heaven. How did this girl learn it? And it seemed like she had been cultivating it for a long time. Wasn't this girl a student of Donghuang Yongwu College? Then she became a student of Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. But it seems like she knows our Dragon Martial Academy's Dark Dragon Inferiority Art. What the hell is going on? The skinny middle-aged instructor from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy had a slight change in expression, and he found it hard to believe. He had never encountered such a thing in the 100 years since he joined the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. No matter what, he had to continue watching. After all, Ran had recovered through special means and could still continue fighting. He would wait for her to fight to the last moment, and then he would see what the situation was like. The inferior demon soldier's first move could be said to be a probing attack. This kind of species that was active on the battlefield all year round definitely had a very strong battle intelligence. Even when facing 5 very weak dragon warriors, it did not have the slightest bit of carelessness, but carefully probed first. But the next attack wasn't so easy to block. Of course, Liang Xiao and the others weren't prepared for it the first time. If the other party continued to attack, they would be able to prepare their defensive dragon martial skills a little more. In fact, due to the short amount of time just now, some of them did not even have the chance to use their origin source level defensive dragon martial skills. The difference between the grades of the defensive dragon martial techniques was huge. When they were all prepared, their defensive strength would at least double. The inferior demon soldier was also very clear about this, so it had no intention of delaying. After its first attack failed, it immediately launched a second attack. The attack was as fast as the wind, bringing with it a pitch-black storm that swept over. This time, Liang Xiao and the others were still too late. The main reason was that the inferior demon soldier was originally a speed type. Now that it launched a fierce attack, Liang Xiao and the others were completely caught off guard. Although the inferior demon soldier's attack was a little weak, it still posed a fatal threat to Liang Xiao and the others. "Be careful!" Liang Xiao shouted, and all the strength in his body exploded in an instant. The 9 Heavens Emperor Dragon Blood Explosion technique erupted in an instant. This could be considered as him exploding his trump card. This origin source dragon martial skill was compatible with his innate ability, and it could display the strongest power. The 9 Heavens Emperor Dragon Blood Explosion technique caused the entire area to turn blood red, forming a blood-red curtain that counterattacked the inferior demon soldier. It was actually using offense as defense. The inferior demon soldier's attack was originally fierce, but after encountering this layer of blood-red curtain, the blood-red curtain directly exploded. The terrifying destructive power directly reduced the inferior demon soldier's attack by at least 30%. Following that, the other 3 female students joined forces and each released their origin source dragon martial skills. Although they were unable to release their strongest combat strength in a hurry, they had already used their origin source dragon martial skills. This time, the 3 girls joined forces and attacked together. 3 different types of talents, the power of nirvana, blasted into the pitch-black storm. The pitch-black color of the storm once again exploded in all directions, weakened by more than 30%. As for the remaining 40%, Halberd of Sky Saint, defend. Ran was already familiar with the use of the Halberd of Sky Saint. At this time, she used the power of the Halberd of Sky Saint to defend herself. Together with her own talent, the power of nirvana, they formed a black membrane on her divine dragon body. Her innate talent was originally a pitch-black destructive power. This was a pure destructive power, the Black Jade Extreme Breaking Power. Even though it had transformed into the nirvana power, it was still an enhancement in the aspect of destruction. Now that it was used for defense, the effect was not very good, but she could still use her own Black Jade Extreme Breaker power to destroy the opponent's attack power, thereby reducing the damage she suffered. Of course, the effect was not very good. The Black Jade Extreme Breaker Dragon was a type of destructive dragon with extremely terrifying destructive power. Unfortunately, because she cultivated the Dark Dragon Inferiority technique, Ran was developing in the same direction as Kong Shinmu. This was something that could not be helped. She had already cultivated the Dark Dragon Inferiority technique to the peak of the heaven grade. It would be a waste if she did not make good use of it. Of course, under the circumstances of ensuring her own survival, she would increase the destructive power of her attacks. When she truly mastered the technique, she would be almost invincible. Although Kang Xinmu was strong now, it was still very difficult for him to win against an opponent who was on par with him. The reason was that the offensive power of the devouring power was not strong. His offensive dragon martial technique was also not very good. At this moment, in the battlefield, Ran's strength burst out, and together with the power of the halberd of Sky Saint, she crushed a small part of the inferior demon soldier's pitch-black storm. At most, the remaining 20% of the storm's power landed on her slender black dragon body. The terrifying explosion of power once again sent her divine dragon body flying back. She crashed heavily into the surrounding protective barrier, causing the entire battlefield to tremble. Chapter 43-94. The speed at which she recovered from her injuries shocked many people outside. However, before she could fully recover from her injuries, the inferior demon soldier launched another attack at her. This time, Liang Xiao and the other three could not react at all. The speed of the inferior demon soldier was too fast. Although the power of this move was relatively small, the inferior demon soldier attacked at such a high speed to catch people off guard. It did not matter even if the power was weaker. The inferior demon soldier attacked Ran directly. It probably felt that Ran was its biggest opponent, so it wanted to get rid of Ran first before dealing with the other four. Unfortunately, Ran was already prepared for its sudden attack. When the demon soldier launched a sneak attack at Ran, a tornado suddenly appeared around Ran's divine dragon body. Destruction of the wind tornado. When the tempest tornado appeared, Ran's divine dragon body glided to the side. As for the inferior demon soldier, the tempest tornado strike was a force that completely obstructed its advance. A violent tornado swept up the inferior demon soldier and sent it flying into the distance. Even though the inferior demon soldier was strong, its body was affected for a moment. The pitch-black tornado wrapped around its body slowed down by half a beat. Ran's divine dragon body glided dangerously close to the pitch-black tornado and flew far away. The tornado was then completely crushed by the pitch-black tornado. 3 moves. In almost an instant, the inferior demon soldier had already attacked 3 times. However, none of the 3 moves had any effect on Ran. This situation made the surrounding students and instructors, who had planned to mock Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, speechless for a moment. Ran's strength was already extremely strong to be able to withstand the 3 attacks of the inferior demon soldier so easily. The students of the other academies in the Alcade Zone had to work together in order to block the attacks of the inferior demon soldier. Even if it was a team of 6 or 7 people, it was impossible to rely on a single person to do this. Of course, those teams with 6 or 7 people would be easier to fight with more people, but the final score would be lower. With the same challenge score, everyone would receive much less experience points. Therefore, a 5-man team was the most standard and also the team with the most members. Who wouldn't rely on their team's strength to deal with the inferior demon soldiers? But now, it was as if Ran was fighting against the inferior demon soldiers all by herself. Of course, she was completely dodging, but the fact that she still had some strength to spare while dodging was very shocking. Wind Death Tornado Break. She had now cultivated to the Earth realm and was not considered to be too strong. However, the key was that her innate ability, the power of the Black Jade Extreme Break, had too much destructive power. She could even destroy a part of the pitch-black storm at the level of a low-rank demon soldier. This was something that no one else could do. Then, the inferior demon soldier seemed to be completely enraged. It didn't care about Liang Xiao and the others at all and charged towards where Ran was. It's erupting. The inferior demon soldier was surrounded by pitch-black demonic aura. The density of the demonic aura was more than double that of before. Such a powerful aura made Ran Ran immediately prepare herself. The demon soldier turned into a ball of black aura and suddenly charged towards Ran Ran. Its figure seemed to shatter the void. Ran Ran reacted immediately. Wind Death Tornado Break. A tornado exploded in all directions and directly met the black aura that the inferior demon soldier had turned into. The explosive power surged in the field. At the same time, Ran Ran's entire divine dragon body was affected. The back half of her dragon body was almost completely engulfed by the power of the pitch-black demonic aura. Divine dragon blood splattered. The inferior demon soldier was too fast. Even if Ran Ran dodged as fast as she could, she still couldn't completely avoid it. Half of her divine dragon body was engulfed and she was instantly severely injured. No matter how fast Ran Ran recovered, she wouldn't be able to withstand the next attack of the inferior demon soldier. But just as the inferior demon soldier launched its next attack towards Ran Ran, wanting to kill Ran Ran in an instant, Liang Xiao and the others stood up. They had prepared for so long and used their strongest defensive methods. As the inferior demon soldier had used its fastest speed to kill Ran Ran in an instant, its attack wasn't too strong. This time, Liang Xiao and the other three's powers condensed into a thick protective barrier. The four divine dragons came to Ran Ran's side, surrounding her in the middle. The protective barrier trembled as it was bombarded by the inferior demon soldier's pitch-black storm. Layer by layer, it shattered explosively. But in the end, a layer of blood-red protective barrier completely blocked the inferior demon soldier's attack. Violent blood of the nine heavens, Dragon Emperor Divine Defense. Liang Xiao's strongest defensive method blocked the inferior demon soldier's final attack and saved Ran Ran. At the same time, it blocked the inferior demon soldier's fifth attack. They had just arrived and directly reached the highest record of the Alcade district students. Liang Xiao and the others were very excited, but they still wanted to break through. If they could withstand the seventh attack of the inferior demon soldier, then they could obtain the highest reward of the Alcade district students. Unfortunately, the inferior demon soldier didn't give them any chance. Immediately after, another black storm came crashing down, shattering his remaining weak defense into pieces. They had just used their defensive dragon skill and were far from being able to use the next move. At this moment, if they were to face the attack of the inferior demon soldier head-on, only death awaited them. They could even be killed by four at once. They weren't like Ran Ran, who cultivated the chaotic dragon body. Although it was only the human-level chaotic dragon body, the effect was still quite significant. Ordinary dragon martial artists who did not have time to use their defensive dragon skill would likely be seriously injured even if they faced an opponent with a lower cultivation. Not to mention that the inferior demon soldier was much stronger than Liang Xiao and the others. We forfeit. Liang Xiao instantly judged the situation. His pair of divine dragon pupils constricted and cold sweat broke out all over his body. When a student forfeited, Dragon Emperor Tutor immediately appeared to save them. A layer of snow-white protective barrier appeared in front of Liang Xiao and blocked the inferior demon soldier's pitch-black storm. 5 attacks. Not bad. Keep it up. A white-robed Dragon Emperor Tutor didn't even transform into his divine dragon form. With just this state, he blocked the inferior demon soldier's attack and the white barrier didn't budge. This showed the strength of this Dragon Emperor Tutor. Chapter 4395. Ran Ran and the others had directly blocked the fifth move of the inferior demon soldier. This result was not bad. Even if they did not break through later on, this result would be equivalent to 3 years of experience points for them. It was a huge profit. It was a pity that the experience points could only be given out at the end of the training. Otherwise, they could have used these experience points to quickly improve within a month and break through to a higher level before challenging again. That way, they would be able to obtain even higher rewards. However, I can still improve. Cultivating the primal chaos dragon body to the earth grade or even the dragon grade is not too difficult. It just requires sufficient natural treasures and enough pain. I can endure the pain. But heaven and earth treasures are a little more difficult. When Ran came down heavily injured, she secretly shook her head. She was too embarrassed to borrow experience points from others. The key was that she needed too many experience points. If she were to cultivate a body-refining dragon martial skill to the dragon level, then she would need enough experience points to exchange for a few dragon-level dragon weapons, or even a heaven-level dragon weapon. How was she supposed to borrow it? Liang Xiao and the other three were willing to lend it to her, but they didn't have many experience points. Even if they lent it to her, it wouldn't be enough. We only have these experience points. It should be enough for your primal chaos dragon body to reach the earth grade, right? Liang Xiao quickly ran up and said to Ran. Yes, I will return it to you as soon as possible. Ran didn't refuse. She just said that she would return it to them. Liang Xiao shook his head and chuckled, Miss Ran, you don't have to be so courteous. When your strength improves, we can challenge this low-rank demon soldier again. Even if we can withstand one more move, the rewards we will receive will be much more than these experience points. So, Miss Ran, just do your best. These points will be our initial investment. What Ran said was true, so she didn't mention returning their experience points. She only needed to be responsible for breaking through the Chaos Dragon body to a higher level, and then block more attacks from the inferior demon soldiers. Unfortunately, these experience points were only enough to upgrade the Chaos Dragon body to the Earth level. Now that Kang Xinmu had just broken through, it would be difficult for him to help her. She knew it very well. They walked to the entrance of the barrier and planned to leave. Your name is Ran, right? At this moment, an indifferent voice entered their ears. Aren't you going to explain why your recovery speed is so fast? Did you steal our Northern Desolate Region's Dragon Martial Academy's high-grade origin dragon martial technique, the Dark Dragon Imperial Filth Art? This voice came from one of the 4 Dragon Emperor mentors, the skinny middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. He stared at Ran with an ugly expression, as if he wanted to see through her. No. Ran had already expected this scene. From the beginning, she did not reveal that she had cultivated some dragon martial skill. As for the dark dragon filth control, if she didn't admit it herself, who could be sure? Even if it was confirmed, there was no evidence to prove that she had cultivated. No? You're lying. The face of the middle-aged man from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy darkened. Be honest. If this matter is discovered, you will be held responsible. If the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's high-grade origin dragon martial technique is stolen, you can imagine the consequences. Scram. At this moment, the beautiful mentor in the red dress from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy walked forward and pushed the skinny middle-aged man away. She said with a disgusted expression, she already said that she didn't cultivate your bullshit dragon martial technique. Are you still trying to threaten her? Let me tell you, before you threaten her, you'd better ask if my fist agrees or not. When she said this, everyone was dumbfounded. This mentor from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was too overbearing. Many students from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy were relieved when they saw this. When students from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy were being bullied, the Dragon Emperor mentor from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy stood up. Regardless of whether Ran cultivated the Dark Dragon Filth Art or not. Before you can produce evidence, you can't touch anyone from our academy. The skinny middle-aged man's expression changed, and he looked uncomfortable. If they were to fight, he really wouldn't be a match for this beautiful mentor in the red dress from the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. This woman was too strong. Humph, you better not let me find any evidence. The skinny middle-aged man could only say this viciously before turning to leave. Ran, and of course, the four of you have performed well. I will personally give you some experience points as a reward. I hope you can improve yourselves as soon as possible so that you can challenge again within a month and break through. When the beautiful Dragon Emperor saw the skinny middle-aged man leave, she didn't say much. Instead, she turned around and said to Ran and the other four. Personal reward? Ran, Liang Xiao, and the rest were instantly dumbfounded. How could this be? They were already worried about the experience points. They didn't expect the beautiful mentor to directly give them rewards. Ran had lost her memory and was rather naive. She couldn't understand. On the other hand, the corner of Liang Xiao's mouth curled up, revealing a look of understanding. It was obvious that this was not a personal reward from the beautiful instructor. Instead, it was a reward from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. The purpose of this reward was to make them stronger so that they could break the record and become the strongest five-man team in the Alcade Zone among the four academies. This was a competition between the four academies. On the surface, the academies couldn't openly open the back door for them to improve. However, they were the five-man team with the best performance in the Alcade Zone. Even if they couldn't get the academy to do it, they could get the mentors behind them to do it in private. Anyway, outsiders wouldn't know where the experience points came from. Of course, this kind of treatment was only available to the top teams. For example, in the Alcade Zone, you could only enjoy such resources if you reached a certain level. Ran's team almost broke the Alcade Zone's record. How could the beautiful mentor not help them? As long as they put in a little more effort, Ran's team would be number one in the Alcade Zone. This was almost the unspoken rule of the four Dragon Martial Academies. The other three Dragon Martial Academies had long since targeted the teams with potential in their academies, promoting and nurturing them. However, Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy had yet to give out such a reward of experience points. Ran's team was still the first team. With these experience points as rewards, Ran was confident that she could reach the upper limit of the Alcade Zone's rewards. Wasn't it just blocking the inferior demon soldier's attack 7 times? No matter how many times you attack, Ran will not retreat even half a step. Chapter 4396. Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others retreated. Let's go back and cultivate first. We'll come back in half a month. Ran said to Kong Shinmu. Well, you've worked hard. Kong Shinmu nodded. He roughly knew something now. If Ran and the others came again in half a month, everyone would have improved greatly. At that time, they would definitely be able to break through today's record. The next person to challenge was Kong Shinmu. However, Kong Shinmu didn't plan to go on stage directly. He planned to observe for a few days. After all, he planned to clear the stage in one go and kill a middle-rank devil spirit that was equivalent to the 6th level of the Rebirth Realm. This was extremely difficult. The other Yuheng District students didn't even dare to think about it. However, Kong Shinmu had some confidence in this. At least he could withstand the opponent's attack. It all depended on whether Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white could kill the opponent. Kong Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had been cultivated to the peak of the heaven stage. This not only made him more resistant to beatings, but the most important thing was that his divine dragon body could withstand stronger power. In the past, he could only devour the power of Dragon King that was around the 3rd level of the Rebirth Realm. However, when he broke through to the 6th level of the Nirvana Realm, he could devour the power of Dragon King that was around the 4th level of the Rebirth Realm and use it for his own. Now that his chaotic dragon body had broken through to the strongest stage, he could completely devour the power of Dragon King that was around the 5th level of the Rebirth Realm. Although there was still a gap between him and the middle-rank devil spirit, he didn't necessarily need to devour it completely. Even if he only devoured half, it would be very easy for him to use the other half to block the opponent's attack. Of course, devouring the opponent's power consumed a lot of Kang Shinmu's power. Moreover, he couldn't devour the opponent's life essence now, so he couldn't quickly recover his strength. He could only rely on the Dark Dragon mastery of filth. Ran and the others directly rushed to the record. I didn't expect that. I wonder how far we can go. The white-dressed girl sighed with emotion. She glanced at Kang Shinmu, and it was very clear that she had some admiration for Kang Shinmu. In this training, she could completely rely on Kang Shinmu. Of course, her own strength was not weak, and could be considered top-notch among the students of Yuheng District. Otherwise, Kang Shinmu wouldn't have chosen to be with her and Xiao Yuhua. Right now, the strongest students in the Yuheng District are a team of 4. In the end, they defeated a low-rank devil spirit. They are at the 3rd level of the Samsara Tribulation Realm. This is already very strong. Xiao Yuhua had arrived a few days earlier than Kang Shinmu and had obtained this information. She told Kang Shinmu, they are from Donghuang Yangwu College. Among them, there is a person called Chu Qingyun who is the strongest. He is the main force of the 4. Chu Qingyun. When Kang Shinmu heard this, he had a strange look on his face. This Chu Qingyun, when he fought with him who had yet to leave Donghuang Yangwu College, had already lost completely. It could be said that his combat strength was relatively weak in the Yuheng District. But now, this Chu Qingyun actually became the main force of the Yuheng District. He even created a challenge record for the students of the Yuheng District and killed a low-rank devil spirit. This situation was completely beyond Kang Shinmu's expectations. Could it be that this Chu Qingyun has licked Sua Xiaofeng's boots? He got Sua Xiaofeng to provide him with some cultivation resources? Kang Shinmu could only think of this. This made him feel a little ridiculous. This Chu Qingyun's talent was only a so-so. Compared to geniuses like Yu Tiansheng and Qin Tianzi, if he wanted to keep up with these geniuses' cultivation speed, he would have to provide at least 3 or even 5 times the cultivation resources. If he didn't have the resources, this guy's cultivation speed would never be able to catch up to Yu Tiansheng and Qin Tianzi, let alone Kang Shinmu. That's right. Kang Shinmu felt that his cultivation speed definitely surpassed Yu Tiansheng and Qin Tianzi. So, even if Chu Qingyun had enough cultivation resources for him, his growth in a short period of time would definitely not be as fast as Kang Shinmu. In the past, Kang Shinmu could abuse him. Now, Kang Shinmu could abuse him even more. Moreover, it was impossible for this Chu Qingyun to maintain a huge amount of cultivation resources. Kang Shinmu. At this moment, there was suddenly an arrogant voice coming from the side. It was a few students from Donghuang Yangwu College. One of them was Chu Qingyun, whom Xiao Yuhua had just mentioned. This person was dressed in green, and his face was filled with pride. When he looked at Kang Shinmu again, he suddenly smiled proudly. Kang Shinmu, I didn't expect you to really join Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Moreover, you even dared to come to this place to train. You are really thick-skinned. In terms of thick-skinned, I can't compare to you. Kang Shinmu replied indifferently. And his words seemed to directly poke at Chu Qingyun's sore spot. Chu Qingyun's face darkened. What nonsense are you talking about? The current me is no longer an existence that you can imagine. If I have the chance to fight with you again, only death awaits you. In response to his words, Kang Shinmu didn't even look at him. Because Chu Qingyun wasn't qualified. He still wanted to fight with Kang Shinmu again. At that time, if it wasn't for Sua Xiaofeng secretly strengthening Chu Qingyun, he wouldn't be a match for Kang Shinmu at all. Kang Shinmu would be able to kill him in 2 moves. At this time, he only dared to be so arrogant because he licked Sua Xiaofeng's boots and obtained some cultivation resources. It was a pity that in Kang Shinmu's eyes, Chu Qingyun was still trash. Kang Xinmu's attitude of ignoring Chu Qingyun made Chu Qingyun even angrier. The three dragon martial artists behind him, one man and two women, were also staring angrily at Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu, it's fine that you defected from Donghuang Yangwu College. Now that you see senior brother Chu Qingyun, you don't even have the slightest bit of etiquette. You are really an ingrate who doesn't know what's good for you. These three people were probably the type that didn't know anything. Zhuo Xiaofeng's rumors in Donghuang Yangwu College were definitely saying that Kang Xinmu had defected from Donghuang Yangwu College. Therefore, it was normal for these students to hate Kang Xinmu. Although Qin Fengyu, Lu Hua, and even mentor Chu Yueqiang knew that Kang Xinmu had been targeted by Zhuo Xiaofeng and was forced to leave, they couldn't publicize it. Wouldn't that be going against Zhuo Xiaofeng? That would be purely courting death. Therefore, only those who were familiar with Kang Xinmu knew why Kang Xinmu wanted to leave Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Xinmu couldn't be bothered to speak to the man and two women who didn't know the truth at all. An ominous glint flashed in Kang Xinmu's eyes as he looked at the void. Only when he had the strength to suppress Zhuo Xiaofeng or when he could rely on it, would he reveal everything to the public. Kang Xinmu. How about we make a bet? I, Chu Qingyun, led a team and killed an inferior devil spirit. Moreover, it was at the third level of the samsara realm. I want to see to what extent you, Kang Xinmu, can achieve. Chapter 4397. What do you want to bet? Kang Xinmu was quite interested in this. After all, he was lacking experience points and cultivation resources. It was rare for someone to come to him, so of course he was happy. And the other party was Chu Qingyun. Kang Xinmu was happy to see this guy suffer. Bet. You really dare to bet? Chu Qingyun was shocked by Kang Xinmu, but then he laughed out loud. The students of the Yuheng district had basically not broken through to the samsara realm, including Chu Qingyun. And if they had not broken through to the rebirth realm, the gap between them and the inferior devil spirits was huge. Even if 3 or 4 people joined forces, it would be extremely difficult to defeat a devil spirit. The students in Yuheng district basically dealt with the middle-level devil soldiers. Although the cultivation of the middle-level devil soldiers was higher, the quality of the divine dragon blood was lower than that of the Dragon King, so it would be easier to defeat them. But even the middle-level devil soldiers were not easy to deal with. Chu Qingyun had led a team to kill the strongest inferior devil spirit. He felt that he was already the strongest student in the Yuheng district. If he was stronger, then he wouldn't be a student of the Yuheng district, but a student of the Migres district with the word heaven in it. He felt that no matter how powerful Kang Xinmu was, it was impossible for him to grow from a Yuheng district student to a Migres district student in just a few months. Why wouldn't I dare to bet? Kang Xinmu said indifferently. On the other hand, can you take out anything that interests me? If you can't, I won't bother to bet with you. I see you've already given that rubbish dragon weapon you used to use to your little woman. Chu Qingyun glanced at Ran Ran, who was leaving, and said arrogantly, it seems that you don't have a suitable dragon weapon. I, Chu Qingyun, will be merciful and let you have a look. This heaven-level dragon weapon is what I, Chu Qingyun, have left. Great Desolate Demon Sword. Great Desolate Demon Sword, heaven-level dragon weapon. It was indeed the dragon weapon that Chu Qingyun had used before. However, this dragon weapon was not weak. On the contrary, it was very strong. It was just that he could not integrate it with the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword. Therefore, he would not take it out to use. As for the reason, when Kang Xinmu saw Chu Qingyun take out the Great Desolate Devil Sweeping Sword, he immediately understood. The Great Wilderness Demon Exterminating Sword was a demon-slaying weapon that possessed a righteous aura. This Chu Qingyun's heart wasn't in the right place. Naturally, he couldn't merge with the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword. He couldn't even use half of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword's power. I can use this heaven-class dragon weapon. However, I'm not sure if my devouring power is compatible with the Great Desolation Demon Sword. If the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword thinks that the devouring power is an evil power, I won't be able to use the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword, forget it. Even if I can't use it, I can convert the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword into experience points. I won't lose anything. Kong Shinmu knew that he had made a huge profit. Even though he had the power in the Beast Abyss, he could only get a heaven-class dragon weapon when he was lucky. If he was as lucky as he was in the ancient Netherworld Sea Road, he wouldn't be able to get a heaven-class dragon weapon even if he worked hard for half a year. Even if he converted it into experience points, he would still gain a lot. Alright, I'll use the Dragon Mark Blood Pendant as the wager. After Kong Shinmu said this, he took out the Dragon Mark Blood Pendant and showed it to Chu Qingyun. It was also a heaven-class dragon weapon. Chu Qingyun's face darkened. How long have you been in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy? You actually exchanged it for a heaven-class dragon weapon? He felt that he had miscalculated. Logically, it would be difficult for a student like Kong Shinmu, who had defected from Donghuang Yangwu College, to be accepted by other dragon martial academies, not to mention being put in an important position. But now, it seemed that Kong Shinmu was living a good life in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. If Kong Shinmu had a heaven-class dragon weapon, then with Kong Shinmu's growth speed, it was very likely that he could kill a lower-rank devil spirit. Chu Qingyun pondered and immediately snorted. Alright, use the heaven-class dragon weapon as the wager. If you can't surpass me and kill a middle-rank devil spirit, then you lose. His way of saying this was different from before. Previously, he was betting with Kong Shinmu to see if Kong Shinmu could kill a lower-rank devil spirit at the 3rd level of the Samsara realm. But now, the condition had changed to surpassing him and killing a middle-rank devil spirit. The surrounding people felt that Chu Qingyun was a bit of a dog. Wasn't he changing his tune too quickly? However, Kong Shinmu didn't care. Even Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white didn't think that there was much of a problem. Because Kong Shinmu had already told them that their target was a middle-rank devil spirit or a superior devil soldier. However, the number of superior devil soldiers was relatively small, so they usually challenged a middle-rank devil spirit. To be able to kill a middle-rank devil spirit, Kong Shinmu had full confidence. Even if it was the strongest reincarnation tribulation realm at the 6th level, that kind of middle-rank devil spirit was Kong Shinmu's target. And this was the upper limit for Yuheng District students to get all the experience points. It had to be said that Kong Shinmu wanted to directly rush to the upper limit, which was naturally not what Chu Qingyun could think of. He combined the strength of Kong Shinmu when he left Donghuang Yangwu College and then speculated according to his current strength. He always felt that Kong Shinmu could at most deal with a lower-rank devil spirit like him. One had to know that he had a huge amount of cultivation resources. For Zhuo Xiaofan, the cultivation resources provided to Chu Qingyun were nothing at all. Therefore, during this period of time, Chu Qingyun felt that his progress was the fastest. He had definitely reached the strength level of a Migres district student. He only needed to wait for this year's school competition to officially enter the Migres district. The grade of his divine dragon blood essence had already reached the 8th level of the Dragon King. Why was it so fast? Because he had been arranged by Zhuo Xiaofan to be in a secret core area. The dragon mark energy in that place was comparable to the core Tianshu district. That area was Zhuo Xiaofang's own cultivation place, but bringing Chu Qingyun in would not affect Zhuo Xiaofang's own cultivation. Therefore, Chu Qingyun got such an opportunity. Because in the last battle with Kong Shinmu, Zhuo Xiaofang felt that it was not that Chu Qingyun was not good enough, but that the resources given to him by the academy were not good enough. Therefore, Zhuo Xiaofang probably wanted to let everyone see that the current cultivation resource allocation system was not suitable. Of course, outsiders did not know what he was thinking. In any case, Chu Qingyun was now being cultivated, and he had made a bet with Kang Xinmu. This scene might have been secretly instructed by Zhuo Xiaofan. When the void monster appeared, Zhuo Xiaofan had already arranged it. Dragon Mark Blood Pendant. Great Desolate Demon Sword. A bet of 2 heaven-grade dragon weapons. Although all the Dragon Warrior students in the Yuheng district basically had a heaven-level dragon weapon, this level of item was a treasure to the students in the Yuheng district. It was one of their strongest battle powers, and they had to spend a lot of effort to exchange for it. This time, the bet between Kang Xinmu and Chu Qingyun was actually a heaven-grade dragon weapon. Chapter 4398. The bet was set, but Kang Xinmu didn't plan to challenge it directly. He planned to observe for a while first. After all, he had just arrived and didn't understand the strength of the demonic spirit-level void monsters. It would be inappropriate to rashly go on stage. Chu Qingyun naturally mocked Kang Xinmu fiercely. Even the surrounding people looked down on him. Being so cautious was a sign that he didn't have confidence in himself. One had to know that many dragon warriors would directly go on stage. For example, Ran's team. In any case, their strength was there, and the strength of the void monsters they encountered was also random. Some excelled in speed, some excelled in strength. It wasn't like one would be able to adapt to fighting void monsters just by watching. No matter what, if Kang Xinmu didn't go on stage, Chu Qingyun couldn't do anything to him. He couldn't force Kang Xinmu to go on stage, he could only mock from the side. Unfortunately, this mockery didn't hurt Kang Xinmu at all. As for the 3 students that followed Chu Qingyun, they were also chattering non-stop beside Chu Qingyun, chattering away to Jiang Shenwu. About an hour later, Kang Xinmu glanced at them and lightly said, "If I had as much free time as you guys, I would go back and absorb some Dragon Mark energy. It would be better than talking nonsense here." These words caused Chu Qingyun and the others to turn ashen. What was talking nonsense? These words were mocking them for not working hard in their cultivation. But, they really had no way to refute Kang Xinmu's words. To dragon warriors, time was very precious. If they had the time to talk nonsense here, they might as well go back to the academy and absorb some Dragon Mark energy. Chu Qingyun could only say darkly, "If it wasn't for you, Kang Xinmu, coming here, we would have gone back long ago. So, hurry up and challenge the monsters so we can go back and cultivate faster." "Strange, what does it have to do with me whether you go back or not?" Kang Xinmu looked at him strangely. "I don't care what you're using this time for. Your legs are yours, do you think I care whether you go back or not?" As these words were spoken, Chu Qingyun was nearly angered to death. He simply stopped talking and stared at Kang Xinmu with a cold smile. He thought that once Kang Xinmu went up, he would be able to obtain the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant from Kang Xinmu. About this time, finally, a Dragon Warrior student stepped forward to challenge the Void Demon. This Dragon Warrior student was alone and did not form a team. That meant that he was definitely a powerful student from the area that started with the word heaven. This person was wearing a dark green robe. He looked calm and steady, as if he had a card up his sleeve. It is Wu Machan. Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy, Fecta Regent Senior Brother. His divine dragon blood essence seems to be the Boulder Fate Dragon, right? The last time I came to challenge, I killed a low-rank fiend general. Boulder Fate Dragon? Hearing the discussions of the surrounding people, Kang Xinmu's interest was piqued. His fate with the Boulder Fate Dragon was not small. Unfortunately, this Wu Machan did not know that Kang Xinmu had already met him twice, and both times were in the Beast Abyss. Wu Machan went up and bowed to the Dragon Emperor from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. However, he did not have any reaction to the other 3 teachers. After all, he was a student from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. Moreover, this Wu Machun had been repeatedly cheated in the Beast Abyss, so he did not have any good impression of the other 3 Dragon Martial Academies. Wu Machun, you killed a low-rank fiend general last time, but you have not reached the upper limit of the rewards for Fecta region students. The skinny Dragon Emperor smiled and said, this time, do you have the confidence to kill a middle-rank fiend general? Wu Machun's strength was at the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, but he had the blood essence of a divine dragon at the Dragon Monarch level. Therefore, when he killed a lower-rank devil general, even the strongest lower-rank devil general at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, he was only challenging an opponent 2 levels above him. This time, he planned to cross 3 or even 4 levels to challenge a middle-rank fiend general. Fecta region students were not allowed to form teams to challenge void monsters, so Wu Machun could only do it alone. Being able to cross realms to defeat a void monster was already a very difficult thing. However, as an elite of the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy, he could naturally do it. Not bad, let's start with a 4th-level fiend general. Wu Machun nodded solemnly, got up and flew into the protective barrier. He did not say a word and directly planned to challenge. However, he had experience and was already prepared for this challenge. He was different from Kong Shinmu. However, to be able to challenge higher-level monsters in such a short period of time, this Wu Machun must have obtained a lot of cultivation resources after the previous challenge. Kong Shinmu narrowed his eyes. He was thinking, should I do the same? The bet with Chu Qingyun was only limited to killing middle-rank fiend spirits, which was a 4th-level Rebirth Realm fiend spirit. As for the Yuheng region that he was in, the upper limit of rewards was opened up to 6th-level Rebirth Realm fiend spirits. In other words, as long as he killed a 4th-level fiend spirit, he could stop first. Would Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy give him some experience points as a reward and nurture him, allowing him to reach a higher level? Right now, Kong Shinmu was not very sure if he could kill a 6th-level fiend spirit. Therefore, there was no need for him to take the risk. Instead, he was worried that once he killed a 6th-level fiend spirit and reached the upper limit of the reward points, would Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy still reward him? This was a very big problem. This reward could not be ignored. Just looking at the experience points that Ran had obtained, it was enough for her to cultivate her chaotic dragon body to the dragon grade. It could even allow her to increase her cultivation by 1 more realm. The richness of this reward was extremely impressive. If Kong Shinmu obtained it, he might be able to exchange it for a heaven-grade dragon weapon to use in battle. The Dragon Scar Blood Pendant strengthened his talent. It did not have any strong offensive or defensive means. However, he could choose another heaven-grade dragon weapon to use in battle. Of course, Chu Qingyun's Great Desolate Demon Sweeping Sword was a heaven-grade dragon weapon for battle. However, Kong Shinmu did not know if his devouring power could be compatible with the Great Desolate Demon Sweeping Sword. Therefore, he had to be prepared that he could not use it. If it was not possible, he would have to change to another heaven-grade dragon weapon. Wu Machun went up. Everyone outside watched Wu Machun go up. When a middle-rank fiend general was brought in front of him, everyone was a little shocked. Although it was not the first time for some people to see it, the 6-limbed giant body of the middle-rank fiend general was like a dark cloud that covered the sky. It still made everyone feel as though they were suppressed. Even with a protective barrier, the aura of a middle-rank fiend general still made many students outside unable to breathe. So strong. Can Wu Machun really defeat a middle-rank fiend general? Chapter 4399. Wu Machun had Dragon Emperor, level Divine Dragon Blood Essence and was at the 1st level of the rebirth state. His Dragon Emperor Blood Essence was at the 2nd level, which was equivalent to Dragon Emperor Yan's level. However, compared to Dragon Emperor Yan, he was weaker in terms of cultivation level. After all, he was still too young. Even if he had enough cultivation resources, it would be difficult for his cultivation level to increase rapidly while absorbing the dragon mark's energy. It was already pretty good for him to reach the first level of the rebirth state. Most importantly, Dragon Emperor level inheritance blood essence was extremely rare. To the students of the Dragon Martial Academy, was it better to go out and earn experience points to increase their cultivation level, or to stay in the academy and absorb the dragon mark's energy? This was a dilemma. Many people felt that the most important thing was to raise the grade of the divine dragon blood essence. Therefore, there were quite a number of dragon martial artist students who had joined the Dragon Martial Academy for dozens of years, but they only had Dragon King level inheritance blood essence. Furthermore, their cultivation levels were not very high, and they could not afford to exchange for the origin dragon martial technique. They only wanted to reach the level of Dragon Emperor one day. That way, they could start improving in other areas. Unfortunately, if they were real geniuses, they could easily earn experience points in between absorbing the dragon mark's energy instead of working behind closed doors. However, if they were students with mediocre talent, it would not be easy for them to forcefully increase the grade of the divine dragon blood essence. They would usually need to spend 10, 20, or even 30 years to break through to the level of Dragon Emperor before cultivating other things. Kong Shinmu was not like that. Furthermore, none of the students that Kong Shinmu knew were like that. Strength was the most important after all. If they chose to focus on increasing the grade of the divine dragon blood essence, they would be very weak before they truly broke through to the level of Dragon Emperor. They would not even be able to enter the Kaiyang district and could only stay in the Alcade district. Furthermore, the increase in cultivation level would increase the speed of absorbing the dragon mark's energy. Therefore, it was best to use both hands. Without a doubt, the Rocky Destiny Dragon and Wu Machan had been promoted together. They were elites of the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's Fecta region and had been in the Dragon Martial Academy for at least 10 to 20 years. Generally speaking, it was impossible to see the Dragon Emperor, who was only at the first stage of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm, in the outside world. Any Dragon Emperor would at least be at the 7th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. This was because the advancement of the Divine Dragon's blood essence was too slow in the outside world. Dragon martial artists would have to work hard for at least a few decades, and at the same time, they would be training in the outside world. How could they be like the students of the Dragon Martial Academy and not raise their cultivation realm? Therefore, when they reached the advanced stage of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, they would naturally accumulate enough Dragon Mark energy to reach the level of the Dragon Emperor's divine dragon blood essence. Generally speaking, there were still some ways for the powerhouses of the outside world to obtain treasures of heaven and earth that contained the energy of the Dragon Mark. As long as one's talent was sufficient, the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence could still reach the level of the Dragon Emperor. At this moment, Wu Machan had transformed into a Boulder Fate Dragon. It was the Boulder Fate Dragon that Kong Shinmu was familiar with. That incomparably thick divine dragon body carried an incomparably steady and vast aura as it swept towards the tyrannical middle-rank demon general. All kinds of source dragon martial techniques were unleashed one after another. That middle-rank demon general was also very strong. Demonic chi surged all over his body, filling the entire place with demonic chi and exploding within the protective barrier. Wu Machan, who had transformed into a Boulder Fate Dragon, seemed to be able to deal with this middle-rank demon general with ease. Even though the entire place was filled with pitch-black demonic chi, it did not affect him at all. On the contrary, many spectators from the Dragon Martial Academy in the Alcade district were stunned by the aura of the demonic chi. Of course, Kong Shinmu would not be intimidated by his opponent. To be honest, such a battle was still a distance away from the level of the Dragon Emperor. Of course, this was not an existence that the current Kong Shinmu could deal with. A middle-rank demon general is indeed very strong. The current me is still not a match for a demon general. Even a low-rank demon general has exceeded the limit of my devouring power. I can at most deal with a middle-rank demon spirit. That is already my limit. Right now, Kang Shinmu was at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Logically speaking, with this cultivation realm, ordinary students could only stay obediently in the Alcade district. After all, Kang Shinmu's divine dragon blood was only at the 6th level of the Dragon King. However, his battle prowess could indeed reach the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. He was about the same as Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress, or even stronger than them. If it was Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress, with their strength, even if they were to fight against the 2nd level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, they would still be able to contend against the 2nd level of the Dragon King. After all, the gap between them was too great. Otherwise, they would be able to defeat an opponent who was 3 levels above them. As for Kang Shinmu, he was amazing. He could defeat an opponent who was 1 level above him. He was at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, and he could fight against a 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Of course, this was under the situation where the divine dragon blood was of the same grade and they were all Dragon King. This was not only because of the devouring power, but also because when he broke through to the 5th and 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he had condensed the Nirvana power, allowing the devouring power to reach the standard of the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Moreover, his dragon-marked blood pendant allowed his devouring power to possess the characteristics of the rebirth power in advance, which was to devour power for his own use. Otherwise, Kang Shinmu would never consider dealing with a middle-rank devil spirit even if he was beaten to death. All these circumstances combined allowed Kang Shinmu to possess his current strength, which was not something that anyone could do. To be honest, it was already quite good that Chu Qingyun could lead a team to kill a lower-rank devil spirit at the 3rd level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm from a noob. After all, Chu Qingyun was only at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. For students at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm joined forces and killed a void devil that was 3 levels above them. This result was already very good, and only the students of the Dragon Martial Academy could do it. If it was a dragon martial artist from the outside world, they could forget about it. They wouldn't even have the possibility of injuring a 3rd-level Rebirth Tribulation Realm opponent. As everyone watched, Wu Machan fought with great difficulty. She unleashed several powerful dragon martial skills and finally heavily injured the middle-rank Devil General. Even after the middle-rank Devil General was heavily injured, Wu Machan had to use several powerful dragon martial skills to finally kill the middle-rank Devil General. These void devils had extremely strong vitality. They were different from the dragon martial artists that Kang Shinmu had seen before. Chapter 4400. Kang Shinmu squinted his eyes. Currently, the dragon warriors did not cultivate the body-refining dragon martial technique. It seemed very reasonable, but in reality, it seemed that they were all somewhat weak. In Kang Shinmu's opinion, a strong physical body was true strength. Of course, everyone had their own understanding. In any case, Kang Shinmu felt that the body-refining dragon martial technique was much stronger than the defensive dragon martial technique. After all, after cultivating the body-refining dragon martial technique, the physical body would forever become stronger. As for the defensive dragon martial technique, it could only have a defensive effect after it was actively used. Once it was sneak attacked, or if the opponent's speed was too fast, there would be no defensive effect at all. For example, when Ranran, Liang Xiao, and the others were fighting against the void demonic creature, once the void demonic creature was too fast, Liang Xiao and the others couldn't even use their defensive dragon martial skills, and all of them were in danger. If not for Ranran helping them block it, they would not have been able to withstand 5 moves from the lower-rank devil soldier. It was also because of this that none of the other teams in the Alcade district cultivated the body-refining dragon martial technique. This also caused the other teams in the Alcade district to find it difficult to reach this level. Usually, when they joined hands to use the defensive dragon martial technique and used the defensive barrier to block the lower rank devil soldier's attack, they would not be able to withstand 2 or 3 moves. The experience points this time can be exchanged for a high-level body refining dragon martial technique. Kang Xinmu was looking forward to it. After Wu Machen killed the middle-rank devil general, Kang Xinmu went to observe 2 more battles. They were the battles between the students of the Migres district and the Yuheng district. In the Migres zone, there was a dragon monarch expert at the first level of the rebirth tribulation realm. However, he was slightly weaker than Wu Machen. He even failed to challenge a lower-rank devil general at the 3rd level of the rebirth tribulation realm and almost died at the hands of that lower-rank devil general. This Dragon Emperor student's cultivation of the dragon martial technique was not very good. It was possible that he was the kind of person who managed to break through to the Dragon Emperor with great difficulty with his divine dragon blood essence. Therefore, his combat strength was slightly weaker than Wu Machen. Looks like that Wu Machen is quite strong. Kang Xinmu thought. He had imitated the aura of the Boulder Fate Dragon from the start, but he didn't feel much of it back then. Now, it seemed that Wu Machen wasn't weak. No wonder she dared to go to a place like the Beast Abyss alone. However, they were only students from the Fekta zone. Above them were the Merak and Dubhe districts, which had a total of 10 students. The 4 Dragon Martial Academies had a total of 40 students, and they were all stronger than Wu Machen. No matter how strong Wu Machen was, she would only be ranked outside the top 40. When I was watching the academy competition, I found that the core students of the Heaven Center district were already as strong as Dragon Emperor Yen, or even stronger than Dragon Emperor Yen. But compared to Mentor Dragon Emperor, there's still a certain gap. It seems that, those who can reach the 5th level of Dragon Emperor blood essence will become Dragon Emperor's mentor, and not stay in the Dragon Martial Academy as a student. And Dragon Emperor's mentor doesn't seem to have a time limit. As long as they can reach the 5th level of Dragon Emperor blood essence, they can stay in the Dragon Martial Academy as long as they want. Kang Xinmu thought. On the other hand, the Yuheng district sent a team of 5 people to challenge. This was the largest team that the Yuheng district students could form. A team like this would definitely be stronger than a 3-man or 4-man team. However, if they succeeded in the challenge, the experience points they would receive would be much less than what they had received in the previous challenge. Putting everything else aside, with the same challenge results, the experience points each member of the 3-man team would receive were almost twice as much as the experience points each member of the 5-man team would receive. Therefore, teams of 5 people from the Yuheng district were rather rare. This team of 5 came from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy. The Dragon Martial artists of the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy seemed to be the weakest among the 4 Dragon Martial Academies. Therefore, it was normal for them to form a team of 5. These 5 people were all at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. As for the Divine Dragon Blood Essence, they were all between the 4th and 6th level of the Dragon King. It seemed that they focused more on actual combat ability. The 5 of them seemed to have a clear division of labor. There were Earth Attribute Divine Dragons that focused on defense, Fire Attribute and Thunder Attribute Divine Dragons that focused on offense, and Wind Attribute and Light Attribute Divine Dragons that focused on support. It could be said that their lineup was very strong. Their first target was the weakest inferior devil soldier. An inferior devil soldier at the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm was a very strong opponent for the students of the Yuheng district. They could only withstand a few moves from it. However, to the students of the Yuheng district, this level was used for practice. In terms of cultivation level, the inferior devil soldier was only 1 level stronger than them. Although they had broken through to the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, the key was that the inferior devil soldier was only equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon. And these students of the Yuheng district were all Dragon King. This 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy fought seamlessly. One person defended, two focused on offense, and the other two supported from the side. They cooperated extremely well. That wind attribute divine dragon had abilities similar to Ran. Of course, it only had the ability to break through the wind death dragon tornado that she cultivated. It could control the power of the wind attribute and control the entire battlefield. It could slow down the opponent, speed up the teammate, and so on. It could also obstruct and interfere when the inferior devil soldier wanted to attack. It was extremely effective. As for that light attribute divine dragon, it seemed to cultivate a defensive dragon martial technique. At the same time, there was a portion of the dragon martial technique that had the ability to heal other dragon martial artists. However, this divine dragon's healing dragon martial technique did not seem to be very effective. In any case, it was completely incomparable to Kong Shinmu's devouring power and the dark dragon art of filth mastery. Of course, in such a five-man team, it was already very good to have such a teammate who could do their own job. The five of them were not thought highly of at the beginning. After all, they were a team of five. If they were so cowardly, it could be seen that each of them was relatively weak, but soon, everyone realized that they were completely wrong. This five-man team's battle prowess was actually extremely strong when they joined forces. They killed 3 low-level devil soldiers along the way and then began to challenge the middle-level devil soldiers. Even when facing the middle-level devil soldier at the 4th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, they did not show the slightest bit of fear. They maintained their own battle rhythm. Although they were caught off guard by the middle-level devil soldier at the beginning and suffered some injuries, they quickly adjusted and completely trapped the middle-level devil soldier. They constantly suffered violent attacks and were defeated in almost an hour, completely beaten into a pile of mush. Next was to deal with the middle-level devil soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. After all, devil soldiers were only equivalent to dragon martial artists at the sacred dragon level. It was still somewhat difficult to face the five-man team from the Yuheng district at the level of Dragon King. Even the middle-level devil soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm was dragged to death by this five-man team. Next was the middle-level devil soldier at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Chapter 4401. If this five-man team could defeat the 6th level Reincarnation Tribulation realm devil soldier, it meant that they could challenge the 2nd level Reincarnation Tribulation realm devil spirit. And the 6th level Reincarnation Tribulation realm devil soldier finally caused some trouble for this five-man team. This devil soldier was very fast and had an extremely strong concealment ability. It could hide and completely conceal its aura. From the start of the battle, this five-man team had fallen into an extremely passive situation. Fortunately, this five-man team stood back to back and everyone maintained a defensive dragon martial technique at all times. At the same time, the wind attribute dragon martial artist played a crucial role. He constantly used some kind of dragon source martial technique to investigate the surroundings. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he actually found traces of the devil soldier. When she discovered the traces of the middle-level demon soldier, everyone immediately launched an attack in that direction. Not only did they use attack dragon martial techniques, but they also used 2 types of sealing dragon martial techniques that targeted that space. A terrifying power descended. The devil soldier did not even have time to react before it was discovered by the 5 of them and sealed in that space. Following that, a violent attack of the fire and lightning attribute descended. The middle-level fiend soldier still wanted to escape and hide, but these 2 abilities were useless in front of the well-coordinated 5-man team. Not long after, the devil soldier was killed by the 5 of them. At this time, many people were holding their breaths. They wanted to know how far this 5-man team could go. After all, they had not seen the Yuheng district team go so far in a long time. They were only 2 steps away from the record set by Chu Qingyun's team. These two steps were the second and third level of the reincarnation tribulation realm devil spirits. According to the current situation, the previous battles had not caused much pressure to this five-man team. They had only caused a little trouble. Therefore, many people were looking forward to it. If this five-man team could defeat the third-level reincarnation tribulation realm devil spirit, then they would be on the same starting line as Chu Qingyun's team. Charge! The students of the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy were all very excited because the five-man team could be said to be the strongest five-man team in the Yuheng district that was handpicked by the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy. Furthermore, they had excellent teamwork and usually went on training missions together. Now that they had cooperated to challenge the void demons, they were already used to it. They just needed to get used to it. They were already used to the five-man team. It wasn't that they wanted to strengthen their combat power, but that the five of them usually walked together, and it was impossible for them to give up on any one of them. So, the five of them directly challenged together. Even if they got less in the end, as long as they challenged the limits of Yuheng district, then everyone would still get more than those three-man teams. Therefore, their goal was the ultimate limit, which was the sixth level of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Of course, they still couldn't achieve this goal now, but they could totally catch up to the current record first. This way, the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy would give them a certain amount of cultivation resources and support, allowing them to go further and fight to become the #1 academy in the Yuheng zone. Continue fighting. The leading Earth Attribute defensive divine dragon said in a deep voice. Next, they faced the second-level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit. They finally faced the devil spirit, and this devil spirit's cultivation realm was 2 levels higher than theirs. Most importantly, one of them was the transformation of the reincarnation tribulation realm, so the difficulty wasn't small. And such an inferior devil spirit was enough for the five-man team to attach great importance to. But to Kang Xinmu, he could single-handedly finish off such an inferior devil spirit. Of course, the prerequisite was that the inferior devil spirit wasn't particularly good at defense. Otherwise, Kang Xinmu wouldn't be able to kill the other party with his own strength. He devoured the other party's strength and methods to counterattack. If the other party only knew how to defend, he really couldn't do anything. Anyway, with his current attack power, he couldn't kill an opponent of this level. This was why he formed a team with Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white. If Kang Xinmu's attacks were strong enough, he could challenge it alone. Of course, he could also try to challenge stronger void monsters now. With the help of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they would definitely be stronger than him alone. These two girls were not the kind of people who would drag him down. Instead, they were people who could erupt with terrifying power in battle and could be of help. In the arena, the five-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy faced an inferior devil spirit with strong defense. They spent a lot of effort to finally kill this inferior devil spirit, and almost everyone was exhausted. They decided to rest for a while before continuing the battle. And this was also allowed by the rules. If the 5 of them wanted to fully recover their strength, they had to rest for at least 4 hours. Therefore, other students were allowed to challenge them during this period. Let's go. Kang Xinmu already had some understanding of the various abilities of the void monsters, so it was about time for him to go. If the 5-man team needed to rest for 4 hours, it would be enough for Kang Xinmu to challenge all the way to the intermediate devil spirit. And this would be enough for him to complete the bet and collect Chu Qingyun's great desolate demon vanquishing sword. When Kang Xinmu flew up to the arena with Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white, the surrounding students from the Dragon Martial Academy all looked over. The tortoise finally dares to stick its head out of its shell. Chu Qingyun coldly sneered. Not too far away, he and his 3 teammates stared at Jiang Shenwu's back as if they were looking at a walking heaven-step dragon weapon. In his opinion, it was impossible for Kang Xinmu to kill a Rebirth Realm 4th level devil spirit. The devil spirit was originally equivalent to the Dragon King's divine dragon's blood essence, and the 4th level rebirth realm was 7 or 8 levels higher than Kong Shinmu, which was a major gap. This made almost no one believe that Kong Shinmu could defeat a 4th level devil spirit. This was because even the 9th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King was already at his limit against the 2nd or 3rd stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Even if they formed a small team, it would only make it slightly easier for them, but it would not allow them to defeat stronger opponents. One had to know that the physical defense of the void monsters was very strong. If they encountered a void monster with strong defense, then let alone a team of 3 or 5, it would be useless even if more people of the same level came, because they would not be able to hurt that void monster at all. Chu Qingyun thought so, and so did the 3 teammates behind him. Chapter 4402. It's the Jiang Shenwu whose name has spread like wildfire. The 5-man team from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy, who had just come down from the arena to rest, saw that someone couldn't wait to go up while they were resting. After all, their performance was not bad. Although they had more people than the other teams, to be able to fight to this extent was not something an ordinary team from Yuheng District could do. And at this moment, Jiang Shenwu, whose name had spread like wildfire, had brought 2 beautiful female students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy onto the stage. Moreover, he had made a bet with Chu Qingyun, saying that he would defeat a 4th level Samsara Realm Devil Spirit. This goal made the 5-man team from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy feel a little incredulous. They had just killed a 2nd-tier inferior Devil Spirit, and they already felt that it was extremely difficult. That was with 5 of them, and they barely managed to grind the tortoise-like inferior Devil Spirit to death. And now, Kong Shinmu was about to go up with 2 beauties, saying that he would defeat a 4th-tier intermediate Devil Spirit. Who would be optimistic about them? This Kong Shinmu is a talent. I heard that he defected from Donghuang Yangwu College because he got help from the top disciple of Donghuang Yangwu College, Yu Tianchang. Now that he's at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, he actually has 2 beauties behind him. He's quite lucky with women. This kid looks like he's only 15 or 16 years old, right? Don't think of him as a pervert, okay? Hee. What does a man's lust have to do with his age? Many people were discussing and pointing at Kong Shinmu and the other 2. If Kong Shinmu heard this last sentence, he would definitely tell him very seriously that a man's lust had nothing to do with his age. Anyway, it wasn't that Kong Shinmu had no feelings for beauties, but he didn't have the mood to think about such matters between men and women. When he grew up in the future, he probably wouldn't focus on this. The most important thing for a dragon martial artist was destined to be strength. And the person who said this was probably addicted to beauty, and it was very likely that he couldn't extricate himself, placing beauty in a more important position than improving strength. What kind of person was what they were when they looked at others? Of course, Kong Shinmu was too lazy to care about what the people around him were saying. He went on stage to prove to Xiaofan that after he left Donghuang Yangwu College, not only did he not stop improving, he improved even faster. He brought the 2 girls onto the stage and flew outside the barrier. Do your best. The Dean has high hopes for the 3 of you. Mentor Dragon Emperor came up to Kong Shinmu and said with a smile, I've heard about the bet between you and Chu Qingyun. How about this, as long as you can win the great desolate demon sweeping sword from him, I will personally give you some rewards. You can have anything you want. Her words were very tempting. Looking at her proud and alluring figure, the thin dragon emperor from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Thank you, senior. Kong Shinmu said in a deep voice. He wasn't happy at all because this was what he wanted to achieve in the first place. Without a doubt, this was the reward that belonged to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Looking at how calm Kong Shinmu was, the beautiful Dragon Emperor was a little surprised. However, she didn't show it on her face. Instead, she smiled and said to Kang Xinmu, "Then, you guys can go on stage. Remember to be careful. If you can't win, don't force yourself." "Understood." Kang Xinmu nodded. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress also nodded. They definitely wouldn't force themselves. If Kang Xinmu couldn't win, they would definitely call for a forfeit immediately. After all, Kang Xinmu's defense was much stronger than theirs. If even Kang Xinmu couldn't win, then they definitely wouldn't go up and try. They teamed up with Kang Xinmu to kill the enemy. And what they were interested in was Kang Xinmu's strong defense, which was like a tortoise shell. As long as Kang Xinmu was around, they would feel a strong sense of security. They understood that as long as Kang Xinmu was still in front of them, they wouldn't be threatened. Unless, the opponent was much stronger than them. Now that they were challenging void demons, they would choose opponents that were within their capabilities. Of course, they wouldn't encounter opponents that were much stronger than them. The three of them went on stage. "Demonic soldier, let's begin," Kang Xinmu said in a deep voice. Then, the three of them instantly transformed into dragon martial artists. Kang Xinmu's black dragon body took the lead, exuding a dark and terrifying suppressive aura as he appeared within the protective barrier. Xiao Yuhua transformed into a blood-red divine dragon, while the girl in the white dress transformed into a white divine dragon. All three of them were the inheritors of the Dragon King's blood essence that were more than 500 feet long. Their auras were rather powerful. Kang Xinmu, who had the lowest cultivation level, looked the most imposing. He directly stood in front of the two girls, waiting for his opponent to arrive. Xiao Yuhua was on the left, while the girl in the white dress was on the right. The two girls were accumulating their strength, ready to attack the moment an opponent appeared. First opponent, a demonic soldier at the first level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Kang Xinmu couldn't even be bothered to move. However, since he was going on stage, he definitely had to start from the weakest. He treated it as a warm-up exercise. Very quickly, a demonic soldier appeared in front of them and was placed within the protective barrier. This demonic soldier had just appeared and seemed to want to size up the strength of Kang Xinmu and company. However, what it did not expect was that Kang Xinmu had directly unleashed the extreme shadow flowing light's dragon martial skill and charged towards it at an extremely fast speed. The demonic soldier jumped in fright and immediately became incomparably ferocious. It had never met a little fellow at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm who was so bold as to attack it. Although it looked to be over 1,000 feet long and was 4 to 5 times smaller than the black dragon that Kang Xinmu had transformed into, it was a powerful existence at the Rebirth Tribulation realm. Immediately, the inferior demon soldier unleashed a burst of power towards Jiang Shenwu, who was attacking him. If it was an ordinary dragon martial artist, they would definitely stop and use a defensive dragon martial skill. However, Kang Xinmu was not an ordinary dragon martial artist. Facing the pitch-black storm that erupted from the demonic soldier's body, not only did Kang Xinmu not use any defensive dragon martial skill, he acted as if he had not seen anything. His black dragon body directly crashed into the violent pitch-black storm. Wow! Outside the arena, many people exclaimed in surprise. They rarely saw such a battle style. Was he going to fight a void demonic creature in close combat? Before they could stop their exclamations, a heaven-splitting ice slash followed. The power of Nirvana ice descended from the sky and transformed into a long saber, directly slicing the demonic soldier into pieces. Like a hot knife through butter. Although it was only equivalent to the inheritance blood essence of a holy dragon, the suppression of cultivation realm was enough to make an ordinary Yuheng district team suffer. Therefore, everyone watched the situation of Kang Xinmu's team with interest, wanting to see how they would deal with the middle-level demon soldier. It was a pity, heaven-splitting ice slash. The white-dressed girl still exploded with a tyrannical dragon origin martial skill, sweeping towards the middle-level demon soldier that was constantly attacking Kang Shinmu. This time, the middle-level demon soldier's defense was stronger, and the heaven-splitting ice slash could not kill it. But immediately after, when Hua Buyu River Crimson erupted, such a dragon origin martial skill erupted, and the entire field was filled with blood red. A terrifying power surged into the middle-level demon soldier's body, causing it to explode and die instantly. Against an opponent like a middle-level demon soldier, Kang Shinmu and the other two had long killed it together. During the Frost Dragon Emperor dynasty, they had killed a wandering dragon martial artist of similar strength. And now, all of their strength had increased. Jiang Shenwu had improved the most. As for the girl in the white dress and Xiao Yuhua, they had also improved by quite a bit. Among them, Xiao Yuhua had broken through to the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, while the girl in the white dress had a more precise control over her strength. The same ice-rending heaven slash was able to accurately attack the opponent's vital points. Furthermore, her more refined control over her strength allowed her ice-rending heaven slash to erupt with even more destructive power. Both she and Xiao Yuhua's strength had increased by about 50%. At least at the middle-level demon soldier level, they could still keep up. The strength of their attacks was seen by many of the surrounding dragon martial artists. They couldn't help but sigh. The strength of these two girls' attacks was already comparable to some of the students in the Migres area. Although the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence was not as high as that of the Dragon Emperor, their strength was not weak. Compared to them, this Kang Shinmu seems to be just a bystander. With these two beauties assisting in the attack, even I can go on the field and directly reach the level of the devil spirit. That's right, that's right. This Kang Shinmu is purely a hooligan. Many students began to discuss in private. Until now, other than blocking the attacks of the demon soldiers, Kang Shinmu had not shown any means at all. This made the other dragon martial artists not think highly of Kang Shinmu. It seems that they have no problem dealing with the middle-level demon soldiers, but when they deal with the low-level devil spirit, the problem will begin to show. That's right. With the shortcoming of Kang Shinmu, it will be too difficult for these two girls to defeat the low-level devil spirit. This Kang Shinmu is actually leading the team. I wonder what kind of bewitching drug he used to bewitch these two beauties. Who knows? This Kang Shinmu has always seemed to be very popular with women. But today, he dared to bet with Chu Qingyun that he could deal with the middle-level devil spirit. What a joke. Everyone was discussing. In the battle just now, they could not see anything special about Kang Shinmu. After all, not everyone was familiar with Kang Shinmu's fighting style. A low-level demon soldier at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. After being blocked by Kang Shinmu, the two girls were easily killed. A low-level demon soldier at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm was an opponent with extremely strong attack power. The moment it appeared, it brought with it endless killing intent. However, its attacks bombarded Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body, but it was almost like an itch. It did not leave a single scar. Chapter 4404. After these 6 battles, everyone had a better understanding of the strength of Kang Shinmu's team. They originally thought that Kang Shinmu's methods were too weak, but their opinions changed slightly when they were dealing with the 6th Reincarnation Realm Fiend Soldier. After all, it was obviously a Fiend Soldier with strong offensive abilities. In the end, its all-out attack could not do anything to Kang Shinmu. Even when Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body flew in front of it, it could not break through Kang Shinmu's defense. These 6 battles were fought as smoothly as flowing water. In total, they took less than an hour. Many people couldn't help but sigh. These 3 people were really too strong. Although the 2 female dragon warriors had more eye-catching performances, without Kang Shinmu's defense in front of them, they could not kill their opponents so easily. Not only did Kang Xinmu resist the opponent's attack, but he also played a role in restraining them. After the opponent's fiend soldiers were restrained by Kang Xinmu, it was obviously much easier for the two girls to attack again. It was also difficult for the opponent to escape under Kang Xinmu's restraint. Everyone thought that these 6 battles were almost a performance and had no meaning. But only Kang Xinmu knew, he had devoured the demonic aura of many fiend soldiers in these 6 battles. The nature of this power was somewhat similar to the dark attribute, but it was not the same kind of power. It was not even a power of any attribute. It was a unique power. However, the devouring power did not disappoint Kang Xinmu. No matter what kind of power it was, it could always devour it and then strengthen Kang Xinmu's resistance to this power. Heaven Stage Chaos Dragon Body. In addition, Kang Xinmu had been devouring the fiend soldier's demonic aura for 6 consecutive battles. This made Kang Xinmu's resistance to the power of the fiend soldiers reach its peak. Even if it was a powerful fiend spirit that exceeded him by a major realm, he could still resist the opponent's attack. Kang Xinmu's black divine dragon looked darker than usual. This was because he had devoured the demonic aura and there was demonic aura wrapped around the surface of his divine dragon body. Next, low-rank fiend spirit. Kang Xinmu said in a deep voice. If not for devouring the power of the demonic aura, Kang Xinmu could not be bothered to fight the first 6 battles and would directly challenge the low-rank fiend spirit. But now, he had a higher chance of challenging the low-rank fiend spirit. In any case, Jiang Shenwu would not underestimate any opponent, even if it was just a low-rank demon spirit. No one knew what kind of tricks these void demons had up their sleeves. If he encountered a difficult opponent, it would be very uncomfortable. Therefore, now that Jiang Shenwu had devoured the demonic energy of 6 battles in a row, his resistance to demonic energy had reached its peak. Only then did he challenge the inferior demon spirit. This was much safer. When the low-rank fiend spirit appeared, all the dragon martial artists outside the arena focused their attention. Even some of the students who did not care and were focused on healing opened their eyes now, wanting to see how Kang Xinmu and the other 2 would deal with the low-rank fiend spirit. This is a low-rank fiend spirit at the 2nd level of the rebirth tribulation realm. When a 4,000 to 5,000 feet long void demonic creature appeared within the protective barrier, everyone was excited. This low-rank fiend spirit seems to be most proficient in defense. It's very durable. Not bad, it's the type with thick skin and flesh. This type of void demonic creature is the most difficult to deal with. At least, it's not easy for dragon martial artists of the same level to hurt it, many people started discussing. In the arena, the expressions of Kang Xinmu and the other 2 didn't change. For them, no matter what type of opponent it was, this low-rank fiend spirit at the 2nd level of the rebirth tribulation realm was easy to deal with. This low-rank fiend spirit was only 2 levels higher than the white-dressed girl and Xiao Yuhua. Although it was a major realm higher, its strength was not to the extent that they could not deal with it. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Kang Xinmu directly used the Void Dragon Sky-Raising Break. This was the first time he used an offensive dragon-type martial skill, or rather, the first time he used a dragon-type martial skill. However, the strength of his dragon-type martial skill looked very weak. Of course, with his powerful Void Dragon Sky-Raising Break, if he were to use it on the dragon martial continent, it would be enough to crush most dragon martial artists of the same level. However, everyone present was a student of the Dragon Martial Academy. To these dragon martial artists, a low-level Void Dragon Sky-Raising Break was nothing. Almost everyone knew it, and even if they cultivated it to the heaven tier, its strength would not be that great. That was why Kang Xinmu was in such a situation now. Among the offensive dragon-type martial skills that he cultivated, this was the strongest move. However, in the eyes of the Dragon Martial Academy students of this level, it was nothing. Therefore, when they saw Kang Xinmu use the Void Dragon Sky-Raising Break, the surrounding dragon martial artists were all mocking him. Wasn't this too weak? Any of the Yuheng district students present would not be weaker than Kang Xinmu in terms of attack power. With such a standard, he dared to say that he could kill a middle-level devil spirit and win the great desolate demon sweeping sword from Chu Qingyun? That was a joke. However, Jiang Shenwu's attack was followed by Xiao Yuhua's and the white-dressed girl's attacks. Blood red and ice white, two different colors, brazenly shattered the surrounding pitch-black demonic aura, and then landed on the body of the second-level reincarnation tribulation realm's inferior devil spirit. In the next moment, a terrifying power exploded on the body of the void devil. However, the demonic aura on the void devil's body was vast and mighty, forming an extremely powerful defensive barrier. The barrier stood in front of them, preventing their attacks from breaking through. It could even be said that it did not budge at all. It's over. It looks like they won't be able to win against this defense-type devil spirit. If this continues, it will be very difficult for the three of them to break the defense of the devil spirit. Many people's expressions changed slightly. Some were gloating, while others felt that it was a pity. For example, the 5-man team from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy was also at the second tier of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. When they encountered a defense-type void demonic creature, they had to expend a lot of effort to wear it down. The combined attack power of the 5 of them would definitely surpass that of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress. As for Kang Xinmu, his attack power was nothing to the others. That void dragon raising heaven break was not even enough to tickle that inferior devil soul. The demonic aura barrier was like a natural moat in front of Kang Xinmu and the other two. Together with the attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they attacked the lesser demon spirit together. Terrifying energy erupted in an instant, directly blasting the body of the lesser demon spirit, leaving a series of wounds. These injuries weren't too serious, but the next wave of attacks came. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl did not let up after gaining the upper hand. As if they had fallen into a frenzy, they kept attacking one after another. Under the situation where they did not consider energy consumption, the intensity of the attacks that they could erupt was simply shocking. Even some reincarnation tribulation realm existences could not squander their energy like they did. Under the horrified gazes of countless people, the two women's continuous attacks actually blasted the lesser devil spirit into pieces. This scene simply subverted everyone's imagination. The 5 students from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy all had their mouths wide open, simply unable to believe it. They should have lost their strength long ago when they attacked like this. Could it be that they took elixir pills? I'm afraid the only possibility is that they took recovery elixir pills. They discussed animatedly and secretly guessed, but no one could have guessed that this was actually Kang Xinmu's innate power method. Taking elixir pills, this is too wasteful. Recovery elixir pills were used to save lives in extreme situations outside, so they were very expensive. They contained a lot of heaven and earth spiritual energy, and could even be used to cultivate and raise one's cultivation realm. Therefore, it was really a waste to simply use it to restore strength, unless it was used to save lives. But now, they were just training against the lesser demon spirit, and they took the recovery elixir pills. If this wasn't a waste, what was? Although they killed that lesser demon spirit, the loss outweighed the gain. If they need to take elixir pills to restore strength to kill a lesser demon spirit, what are they going to do when they deal with a 4th-tier middle demon spirit? It's obvious that it's impossible for them to forcefully kill a middle demon spirit, even if they take elixir pills. That great desolate demon vanquishing sword isn't that easy to win. Everyone thought so in their hearts. But they had no idea that Kang Xinmu and the other two did not take elixir pills at all. The 2nd-tier lesser demon spirit that the 5 students from South Deity Dragon Martial Academy spent a lot of time and almost all their strength was easily taken care of by them. Next. Kang Xinmu continued in a deep voice. Next, a lesser demon spirit at the third tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. This was the strongest opponent that Chu Qingyun's team had killed. If Kang Xinmu and the other two could kill such an opponent, it meant that they were stronger than Chu Qingyun's team. After all, Chu Qingyun's team was a 4-man team, while Kang Xinmu's team was only a 3-man team, but no one thought that Kang Xinmu and the other two could defeat them. The most exciting battle is coming. Everyone watched with bated breath, wanting to see the battle clearly, not wanting to miss any details. There were also people in the crowd who knew Kang Xinmu. They always knew that Kang Xinmu was someone who could create miracles, so they were looking forward to the battle, hoping that Kang Xinmu could lead the two girls to defeat their opponents. In the current Donghuang Yangwu College, Chu Qingyun looked down on ordinary dragon martial artist students with Xiaofan. He would bully them from time to time, and the only thing he didn't do was collect protection fees from them. Therefore, there were still many people in Donghuang Yangwu College who secretly supported Kang Xinmu. If Chu Qingyun lost the great desolate demon vanquishing sword to Kang Xinmu, wouldn't that be great? It was simply satisfying. Chapter 4406. When the 500 feet long inferior devil soul appeared, it exuded a dangerous aura. As soon as the pitch-black demonic aura appeared, it spread to the entire area, shrouding the entire protective barrier in a pitch-black color. "Get behind me," Kang Xinmu said to Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl. Then, in the form of a pitch-black divine dragon, he guarded in front of them. He was constantly paying attention to the movements of the third-tier inferior devil soul. This inferior devil soul was obviously a powerful attack-type devil soul. It exuded a dangerous aura from head to toe, even making people constantly have a sense of despair. Kang Xinmu knew that this was a kind of mental suppression effect. Unfortunately, it had no effect on him. "I'll attack first to attract its attention." Kang Xinmu couldn't let the two women attack first. Once they attacked first, it was likely that the inferior devil soul would target them. With the two women's defensive abilities, it was undoubtedly difficult to deal with such an inferior devil soul. Although it was not that they did not cultivate any defensive dragon martial techniques, they were still not like Jiang Shenwu, who could deal with any attack with ease. Once the opponent's speed was too fast, they might not be able to use their defensive dragon martial techniques in time. That would be tragic. Immediately afterward, Kang Xinmu launched an attack at the inferior devil soul. The void dragon roars the sky condensed 6 black dragon phantoms and bombarded the inferior devil soul with 6 black dragon breath beams. The inferior devil soul easily dodged 4 of the black dragon breaths. The remaining 2 dragon breath beams bombarded the body of the inferior devil soul, but they didn't cause any damage. The inferior devil soul didn't expect Kang Xinmu's attack to be so weak, which made it a little puzzled. But just when it was puzzled, Kang Xinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body had already flown over, making it clear that he wanted to fight it hand-to-hand. This situation enraged the lesser devil spirit. It had never seen a dragon martial artist fight hand-to-hand like this. Wasn't this courting death? The inferior demon spirit's pitch-black demonic aura burst out in an instant, condensing into a pitch-black saber light that slashed straight at Kang Xinmu's pitch-black dragon body. This scene caused many people in the surroundings to break out in cold sweat. As for Chu Qingyun and the others who didn't like Kang Xinmu, they only sneered coldly. Kang Xinmu wanted to rely on the body-refining dragon-type martial technique to resist the full attack of the third-tier inferior devil spirit. I'm afraid he is thinking too much. However, the next moment, everyone's expression stiffened. The pitch-black saber light from the lesser-rank demon spirit landed on Kang Xinmu's body, but it didn't cause any obvious damage to Kang Xinmu. Even the wound was so shallow that it couldn't be seen clearly if one didn't look carefully. What? Kang Xinmu's physical defense is so strong? Many people's faces changed drastically, including Chu Qingyun. He knew that Kang Xinmu's physical body was powerful, but he didn't expect that in such a short time, Kang Xinmu's physical body was more than twice as strong as before. It's probably 4 or 5 times stronger than when he first left Donghuang Yangwu College. Chu Qingyun was already prepared that Jiang Xinwu's defense would be twice as strong as before, or even 3 times stronger. But the strength of Jiang Xinwu's fleshly body still shocked him. This was even more terrifying than he imagined. Isn't this too exaggerated? He didn't use any defensive dragon-type martial technique to resist the attack of the inferior devil spirit's demonic technique, but soon, everyone's attention was attracted to the scene again. The inferior devil spirit found that its move didn't have any effect. It immediately roared, and the pitch-black demonic aura scattered all over the scene condensed at this moment, turning into dozens of pitch-black saber lights. Each of these dozens of saber lights was stronger than the single saber light just now. Just now, it was just the inferior devil spirit's test against Kang Xinmu. Now, it was time for the real attack. The entire field of saber lights completely ignored Xiao Yuhua and the young girl in the white dress, swiftly attacking Jiang Xinwu's location, nearly shattering the void around Jiang Xinwu. The vast and mighty demonic saber lights descended, landing on his body with a loud rumble. The opponent's attack was too fast. Kang Xinmu didn't even have the time to dodge and was hit by these demonic chi saber lights. One can imagine that if these saber lights were to attack Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, it would be very difficult for them to resist. Of course, at the beginning of the battle, they had already prepared their defensive dragon-type martial technique. Once the opponent attacked them, they could directly release their defensive dragon-type martial technique without needing to gather their strength again. In a situation where they were prepared, it was impossible for the opponent to kill them instantly. Moreover, as long as they resisted for a moment, Kang Xinmu would turn around and help them defend. It could be said that the pressure they faced was very small. At this moment, all the demonic chi saber lights condensed and bombarded Kang Xinmu's body, almost shattering a large part of the void around Kang Xinmu. Everyone's eyes widened, wanting to see how Kang Xinmu was doing. At this moment, ice-splitting sky slash. Ask flowers but words fill the river red. These two terrifying origin source dragon martial techniques bloomed from the battlefield and bombarded the inferior devil spirit. The inferior devil spirit had just unleashed a move with all his strength and really didn't have time to use any defensive methods. The two attacks directly bombarded his body from the left and right. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the inferior devil spirit's body was sent flying and slammed into the defensive barrier behind him. The impact of his huge body caused the entire defensive barrier to tremble. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the inferior devil spirit's body was sent flying and slammed into the defensive barrier behind him. The impact of his huge body caused the entire defensive barrier to tremble. At this moment, he finally had the time to look back at Kang Xinmu, who was being attacked with all his might, and the scene that greeted his eyes left him dumbfounded. Kang Xinmu, who had withstood almost his full strength, seemed to be almost unharmed. That little 6th-level Nirvana Tribulation Black Dragon seemed to be almost unharmed. There were dozens of saber marks all over his body, and even a lot of his dragon scales were shattered. However, he still couldn't seriously injure Kang Xinmu. Moreover, Kang Xinmu's injuries seemed to be rapidly recovering. What's going on? Before the inferior devil spirit could react, Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl's attacks arrived again. This time, they changed their attack methods, but they were also powerful origin source dragon martial techniques. The power of ice and fire burst out separately. It was as if two different worlds had descended and bombarded the inferior devil spirit. Even though the inferior devil spirit's demonic body was tough, it was ultimately not as terrifying as Kang Xinmu's. Under the continuous attacks of the two girls, dark gray blood began to seep out of his body. Surrounded by demonic aura, the blood splashed towards the defensive barrier and stained the barrier. At this moment, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was like an iron fortress. As if he wasn't affected at all, he charged towards the inferior devil spirit's demonic body. Chapter 4407. Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was simply too strong. Moreover, he had devoured the devil chi of the devil soldier in front of him, making his defense against the devil chi even more terrifying. Even if the attack of the inferior devil spirit in front of him was extremely strong, it was still unable to break through Kang Shinmu's physical defense. Is this the power of a body-refining dragon martial skill? A mere 6th-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King is actually able to withstand the attack of a 3rd-level devil spirit. This Kang Shinmu is too terrifying. I take back what I said before. This guy might really be able to kill a 4th-level devil spirit. From the looks of it, Chu Qingyun is going to suffer a setback this time. Who would have thought that this Kang Shinmu would be so strong? No one had expected such a scene to occur. Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was like a steel fortress, blocking in front of him, not allowing his teammates behind him to suffer any harm. Even if he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he was more reliable than those dragon martial artists of the Samsara Realm. What they didn't know was that Kang Shinmu had condensed the Nirvana force twice. Although he was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, his cultivation was actually at the 8th or even 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. If Kang Shinmu continued like this and cultivated to the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he would be equivalent to the 14th or 15th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Although there was no such cultivation realm, Kang Shinmu's strength had reached this level in theory. From this, it could be seen how strong he would be after condensing the Nirvana force. However, the Nirvana Tribulation Realm was still the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. There was still a huge difference between it and the Samsara Realm. Therefore, even if Kang Shinmu cultivated to the extreme in the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he still couldn't compare to the dragon martial artists of the Samsara Realm under the same conditions. These were two different concepts. Of course, none of the dragon martial artists that Kang Shinmu had met had the same conditions as him. Simply put, they were all too weak. When Kang Shinmu broke through to the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, his combat strength would take a huge leap. At that time, even Kang Shinmu himself was not sure how strong he would be. Attack directly. Kang Shinmu pressed the inferior demon spirit directly against the protective barrier. The black dragon's body constantly withstood the impact of the opponent's struggling demonic energy, and even the violent demonic energy saber light. However, these attacks could not hurt Kang Shinmu at all. He had forcefully used the physical strength of the divine dragon's body to firmly control the lesser devil spirit. The following matters were easy to handle. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady continued to launch attacks at the lesser devil soul. Two different attributes, ice and fire, swept towards the lesser devil soul. During this period, they did not consider whether they would accidentally hurt Kang Shinmu, because Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was too strong. Even if they attacked Kang Shinmu head-on, they would not be able to hurt him. Before coming here, Kang Shinmu had already considered this situation, so he let them each attack him for a period of time, allowing him to devour some ice and fire attributes. This way, he would also have a near-peak resistance to ice and fire attributes. Under such circumstances, there was no need to consider the possibility of accidental injuries. They could just attack directly. Anyway, Kang Shinmu would not die, only the lesser devil soul would die. The lesser devil soul also seemed to realize that something was wrong. If it kept attacking Kang Shinmu, it would not be able to hurt Kang Shinmu at all. But now, its entire body was clamped down. Compared to other void devils, it was relatively weaker, and it had already been heavily injured by the two women. Even if it attacked again, it would not be strong enough to kill Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady. No matter what, it had to give it a try. It could not let its life be lost here in vain. So in the next moment, it finally thought through everything and began to gather demonic qi, attempting to use demonic techniques to attack Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady. What a pity! Kang Xinmu immediately sensed its intentions. When it began to gather demonic qi, he used his dragon claws to lock onto its demonic body and charged straight at the demonic qi saber light it gathered. The power it gathered was directly pressed against its demonic body by Kang Xinmu, causing the demonic qi saber light to explode. At the same time, the attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady swept over. The powerful attacks that continued to erupt made the lesser devil soul unable to withstand them at all. Finally, after enduring many attacks in succession, its injuries were so severe that it could not move. It was grabbed by Kang Xinmu in his dragon claws and beheaded alive. Such a ferocious scene of hand-to-hand combat caused the faces of all the dragon martial artists watching the battle to tremble. Even the few Dragon Emperor instructors were a little surprised. They did not expect Kang Xinmu to use such a fighting method. Wasn't this too ferocious? It was as if he did not care about his life. Moreover, Kang Xinmu was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. How could he withstand the violent attacks of the lesser devil soul? Not only did he rely on his divine dragon body, he did not use any defensive dragon martial skills. Most importantly, he was not even injured. He was almost in perfect condition throughout the battle. This Kang Xinmu's strength was too terrifying. This Kang Xinmu has probably condensed the power of Nirvana. Finally, someone was able to see through this. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Kang Xinmu to forcefully fight against a lesser devil soul at the 3rd level of the rebirth tribulation realm with his little cultivation. However, it did not matter if they saw through this. Kang Xinmu had no intention of hiding this from others. At this moment, when the lesser devil soul was completely killed, Kang Xinmu threw the pieces of the devil body down. Everyone around him let out a burst of cheers. It had to be said that such a battle had given all the dragon martial artists a new idea. The body-refining dragon martial skill seemed to be very, very strong. This Kang Xinmu's battle had already proved it. With such a terrifying defensive ability, he was simply invincible. Many dragon martial artists suddenly had the thought of cultivating the body-refining dragon martial skill. But after thinking about it carefully, they suddenly discovered that the body-refining dragon martial skill also required a lot of cultivation resources to cultivate. Not only did they need experience points to exchange for the dragon martial skill itself, but they also needed to exchange for a lot of cultivation resources and heavenly materials. It was not like other dragon martial skills, where one only needed to exchange for the dragon martial skill and cultivate it themselves. There was no need for resources to improve. Furthermore, it seemed like the more injuries one suffered, the faster one could cultivate the body-tempering dragon martial technique. This point also caused many people to give up on the idea of using it. Who had nothing better to do than to torture themselves. Even if they had the guts to torture themselves, they still needed experience points to exchange for recovery pills to recover from their injuries. This was another issue of experience points. Therefore, after careful analysis, many people discovered that ordinary people really could not cultivate this body-refining dragon martial skill. Many people looked at Kang Xinmu and felt some admiration. To be able to endure the pain of constant injuries to cultivate the body-refining dragon martial skill, no matter what, this perseverance was worthy of admiration. Below the stage, Chu Qingyun's face was already as black as charcoal. He never thought that Kang Xinmu could actually kill a lesser devil soul at the 3rd level so easily. In this way, if the lesser devil soul at the 4th level wasn't strong enough, it might really be killed by Kang Xinmu and the other two. Chapter 4408. As Kang Shinmu grabbed the inferior devil spirit in his dragon claws and let it be killed by the two girls, everyone's expressions changed. Such a battle record had already surpassed the level that Chu Qingyun's team could achieve, although Chu Qingyun's team had also defeated a third-level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit. Their team had 4 people while Kang Shinmu's team only had 3 people. This comparison was clearly different. Moreover, Kang Shinmu's battle had brought too much shock to many of the surrounding dragon martial artists. Dragon martial artists could actually fight like this. The body-refining dragon martial technique that no one had cultivated for a long time was actually so powerful. No one had expected that Kang Shinmu would use such a method. They were all shocked on the spot. Will he continue to challenge the next one? Isn't that obvious? It's too easy to deal with an inferior devil spirit. He will definitely have to deal with a 4th-level intermediate devil spirit. Just as many people below were discussing. When Kang Shinmu confirmed that the 3rd-level reincarnation tribulation realm inferior devil spirit was completely dead, he threw away its scattered corpse and said in a deep voice, "Next." A 4th-level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit. This was a powerful existence of another level. This level of void demonic creature wasn't too weak near the void crack. It was even at the level of a squad leader. If they could really kill such an intermediate devil spirit, then Kang Shinmu, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed girl could already go to the void crack and hunt the weakest squads of demonic creatures. Of course, it was a little dangerous for them to go near the void crack with their strength, but it was still better than other Yuheng district students who didn't even have the qualifications to go to the void crack. This was because dragon martial artists who couldn't kill an intermediate devil spirit would be of no use going near the void crack. The most basic requirement for a demonic creature squad was to have an intermediate devil spirit squad leader. At the very least, they would act as a squad. Without this level, no matter what kind of void demonic creature they encountered, the only way out was to escape. The middle-rank devil spirit at the 4th level of the Samsara tribulation realm soon appeared in front of everyone. The deans of the 4 dragon martial academies, as well as the mentors of the Dragon Emperor, had captured quite a number of void demons of this level and imprisoned them for the students to train. That was why there were plenty of void aberrations at the demonic soul level in the training base. At the very least, it could support 20 to 30 student squads to challenge them for a day. If it really wasn't enough, the Dragon Emperor's instructors could also randomly grab some from the nearby Void Rift. To mentor Dragon Emperor, void monsters of this level weren't strong to begin with. It wouldn't be difficult for him to capture a team of void monsters alive. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes when the 4th reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank devil spirit appeared. This middle-rank demon spirit seemed to be a powerful demon spirit that was good at attacking, and it had super fast speed. Her pitch-black body was slightly slender, and compared to other void aberrations, it was obvious that she had agility-type abilities. As soon as she appeared, she gave Kang Shinmu an incomparably tyrannical and dangerous aura. It was obvious that Mentor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of these void demons, would not care too much about the type of void demon that was released. In any case, no matter what kind of void demon it was fine as long as it was the cultivation level that the students were challenging. Comparatively speaking, this kind of void demon with strong attack and agility was a higher threat to the student squads. If it was a void demon with stronger defense, even if the student squads could not beat it, they could just give up and regroup before challenging it again. Moreover, if it was a real battle, the number of void demons with strong defense was relatively small, so the number of captives that were captured was not high. If they encountered a defense-type void demon outside, there would not be much danger. They could just run away if they could not beat it, and right now, the reincarnation tribulation realm 4th level devil spirit that Kang Shinmu and the others were facing was not this type. Its 6 slender, pitch-black limbs were like 6 sharp knives in the darkness, emitting an endless terrifying and dangerous aura. Come! When the devil spirit appeared, Kang Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body suddenly rushed over. As if provoking it, he sneered and suddenly burst out with an attack of the Void Dragon sky-raising break. His attack came very suddenly. Almost as soon as the Devil Spirit appeared, he burst out with a powerful attack, giving the Devil Spirit no time to react. However, even if it was just based on instinct, Kang Shinmu's attack could not do anything to this Devil Spirit at all. When Kang Shinmu made his move, the Devil Spirit let out a chilling cutting sound. Its 6 blade-like pitch-black limbs instantly cut through the void, causing it to be like a ghost in the night, directly disappearing from where it was. When it reappeared, it was already directly above Kang Shinmu. The 6 blade-like limbs instantly fell, accompanied by endless pitch-black devil chi, turning into 6 saber lights that broke through the void and slashed at Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. This attack was too fast. It was so fast that most of the Dragon Warrior students watching the battle outside could not even react. By the time they saw the Devil Spirit's actions clearly, Kang Shinmu had already suffered a direct and fierce attack. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat. Kang Shinmu wouldn't be killed in one move, right? In fact, the students who came here to train were most afraid of encountering such a situation. If they encountered a powerful and fast void monster, many would choose to give up because it was too dangerous. Yesterday, there were Dragon Warrior students who came here to train and were killed on the spot by a void monster. In such a situation, no matter how careful the Dragon Emperor's mentors were, it was impossible to completely avoid it. So when they saw that Kang Shinmu and the others had drawn such a powerful devil spirit to fight, they immediately broke out in cold sweat. As for Chu Qingyun, with his strength, he could naturally see the devil spirit's movements clearly. He immediately sneered. No matter how strong his defense is, so what? If he can't keep up with his speed, he can only be a live target. And this devil spirit's continuous attacks can definitely shatter Kang Shinmu's tortoise shell. Many people were secretly gloating over his misfortune. Some people were also worried about Kang Shinmu. But soon, these people were all stunned. Because they discovered that after Kang Shinmu was attacked, not only did Kang Shinmu not seem to be injured, but a blood-red talent power burst out from all over his body. Or rather, the pitch-black talent power was wrapped in a layer of blood-red color. That was the power of the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant. Just when everyone felt that Kang Shinmu was likely to be seriously injured by the Devil Spirit, Kang Shinmu's Nirvana devouring power, combined with the power of the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant, directly began to devour the opponent's power. Chapter 4409. Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was surrounded by pitch-black demonic energy. This power was the power that he had devoured, and it had the same effect as the devil skill that the other party had used. This devil chi surrounded him, allowing him to move at an extraordinary speed, and he also had extremely sharp senses. Moreover, this demonic energy could also turn into saber light and attack the other party. Kang Shinmu's devouring power was equivalent to completely replicating the other party's ability. It was as if he had secretly learned it and completely possessed the same ability as the other party. Of course, the amount of demonic energy that Kang Shinmu could use was relatively small. It was only the amount of the other party's attack that erupted. However, Kang Shinmu could rely on this power to keep up with the other party's speed, receive all the other party's subsequent attacks, and devour them all. Kang Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had now been cultivated to the heaven stage. Moreover, he had broken through a cultivation realm. His Nirvana talent had become extremely powerful, and the backlash of devouring power that he could withstand had also suddenly increased. Originally, it would be a little difficult for him to devour the power of an opponent at the third level of the reincarnation tribulation realm. If he completely devoured the power of an expert at the fourth level of the reincarnation tribulation realm, the Dragon King, he would almost certainly be unable to withstand it and fall into a state of dizziness. But now, Kang Shinmu could completely devour the power of the middle-rank devil spirit in front of him. When the middle-rank devil spirit's attack was ineffective, it seemed to be a little puzzled. It had never encountered such a strange situation before. It was not that its attack was useless, and it was not that it did not touch Kang Shinmu, but it was as if Kang Shinmu had suddenly disappeared, and even it could not sense his existence. However, it clearly saw that Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was still surrounded by its power. What was going on? The middle-rank devil spirit could not understand, but it felt that it did not need to understand. No matter what strange methods Kang Shinmu had used, it was impossible to conceal the fact that Kang Shinmu was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. This cultivation realm was simply too low, and this devil spirit didn't take him seriously at all. Therefore, the middle-rank demon spirit once again launched an attack at Kang Shinmu. This time, the attack was even sharper and faster, as if the void was torn apart by countless pitch-black demonic auras. The demonic claws pierced through the void and swept toward Kang Shinmu, enveloping him. Countless demonic claws from the void, like death reapers from hell, instantly penetrated Jiang Shenwu's divine dragon body. Even with Kang Shinmu's physical defense, it seemed that he could not completely resist the invasion of these void demon claws. Clearly, these void demon claws were not as simple as they seemed on the surface. They had some special effects. Jiang Shenwu couldn't figure it out either. In any case, after being eroded by the void demonic claws, he felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. His physical body seemed fine, but the key was that his mental state suddenly became dispirited. This is a mental attack method. Kang Shinmu's face darkened. But before he could react, there seemed to be an incomparably terrifying consciousness awakening in his body and exploding in his mind. This kind of explosive mental power instantly filled Kang Shinmu's entire body of the divine dragon, making him excited. That sluggish mental state suddenly disappeared without a trace. It's the black dragon's consciousness helping me. It's awake? Kang Shinmu was a little puzzled. But in any case, the situation he was facing now was grim. He had cultivated a variety of body-refining dragon martial techniques, but he hadn't cultivated the spiritual defense-type dragon martial technique. The attack of the middle-rank demon spirit in front of him actually had the effect of making people sluggish, which really made Kang Shinmu unable to react. However, after the black dragon's consciousness seemed to awaken, Kang Shinmu became excited again. The power of devouring combined with the power of the dragon scar blood erupted at this moment, swallowing all the surrounding void demon claws. These void demon claws suddenly became Kang Shinmu's own power, and he could release them at any time. However, the middle-rank demon spirit definitely didn't know about this at the moment. When it released these void demon claws and bombarded and eroded Kang Shinmu's body, it didn't take Kang Shinmu seriously. Because in its opinion, Kang Shinmu must have lost most of his combat power after suffering such an attack from it. It was also at this moment. The attacks of Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl came from both sides. The ice attribute and fire attribute divine dragon power seemed to condense into two completely different worlds, burning half of the space into a fiery red color, and the other half of the space was decorated with a world of ice and snow. The two women's attacks only erupted at this moment. It wasn't that they were slow, but the middle-rank demon spirit speed was too fast. The middle-rank demon spirit launched two attacks at Kang Shinmu, and the two women barely managed to burst out the first attack. The two women's attacks this time happened to be launched at the right time. At this moment, the middle-rank demon spirit was about to turn around to deal with the two women after its wave of attacks ended. In the end, the two women actually took the initiative to attack it, which surprised it a little. In its eyes, the strength of these two women wasn't weak. With the strength of the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, they were definitely not weak to be able to react so quickly and launch an attack at it. They were the elites among the dragon martial artists. Although this middle-rank demon spirit was trapped in a cage and knew that it wouldn't live for long, if it could kill more elite dragon martial artists, then it would be worth it even if it died. Immediately afterward, it quickly reacted and turned around. Countless void demon claws tore through the space, erupted within the protective barrier, and swept towards the two women. Those void demon claws directly shattered the two women's attacks. With one claw, the flames were extinguished, and the ice river was broken. Countless void demon claws spread out, whistling and sweeping towards the two women. This middle-rank demon spirit is too strong. That's right, it's not an ordinary middle-rank demon spirit. The demonic technique it cultivates even has the effect of mental trembling. That Kang Shinmu seems to have been stunned. With just these two little girls, they won't be able to block this middle-rank demon spirit's move. It seems that among the void demons, this middle-rank demon spirit is definitely not a simple character. It might even be a specially cultivated elite with a special status. Could it be the descendant of some great demon? Who knows? Anyway, this Kang Shinmu can be considered to have suffered a setback this time. If it was an ordinary middle-rank demon spirit, it would be impossible for it to be so strong. It's almost as strong as the 5th level of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Many people were discussing it animatedly. Some powerful dragon martial artists and even some dragon emperor mentors were shaking their heads. This time, Kang Shinmu's luck was really too bad. He encountered such a middle-rank demon spirit that had many means and was extremely powerful. This was a middle-rank demon spirit that could challenge those of a higher level. Looking at the situation, the beautiful mentor in the red dress from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy was even ready to help. However, at this moment, suddenly, a shocking demonic aura erupted from Kang Shinmu's body. How about this move? This would undoubtedly arouse suspicion. If it was really as Chu Qingyun said, that Kang Shinmu had some sort of relationship with the void demonic creatures, then Kang Shinmu would be in big trouble. Unfortunately, when he heard Chu Qingyun's words, Kang Shinmu only glanced at him indifferently. Many people in the surroundings also chuckled. This Chu Qingyun lost to Kang Shinmu, so he can't accept it. He can't accept it and wants to slander him, right? Although the method of erupting demonic qi is a little strange, it was clearly Kang Shinmu's own method just now. That's right. Absorbing demonic qi and erupting demonic qi. I believe most people here can see this point. The power that killed the middle-rank devil spirit came from the middle-rank devil spirit itself. Which of the dragon martial artists present or the dragon emperor teacher was not a veteran of hundreds of battles? They had seen all kinds of talents and all kinds of strange combat methods. As for Kang Shinmu's current combat method, even if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they had heard of it before. Some dragon warriors had the innate ability to absorb the enemy's power for their own use. There were precedents for this in the dragon martial continent, and even in the 4 great dragon martial academies, there were some genius students who possessed such an ability. Under such circumstances, Chu Qingyun actually suspected Kang Shinmu and even said that Kang Shinmu had colluded with the demonic creatures. This was undoubtedly laughable. It made people wonder if Chu Qingyun had lost his mind because he had lost the great desolate demon sweeping sword. Chapter 44:11. Why aren't you replying? Chu Qingyun's face was ashen as he questioned Kang Shinmu from afar. Kang Shinmu glanced at him once more and lightly said, "The demonic qi technique I used was the middle-level demon soul's own move. Can't you see this? I originally thought that since your strength has increased, your knowledge would also be able to keep up. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant." These words were undoubtedly a great loss of face for that Chu Qingyun. If you say it is the middle-level demon soul's move, then it is the middle-level demon soul's move? Chu Qingyun coldly sneered, "Can you take out evidence?" Evidence? What evidence do you want? Kang Xinmu also coldly sneered. This Chu Qingyun was truly a troublemaker. His devour ability wasn't only able to absorb the opponent's move. It also had many other important abilities. These were all hidden and not known by outsiders. In the past, in the eyes of others, the impression he had was that he cultivated a dragon-type martial skill and then found an opportunity to counterattack while being beaten. But now, Kang Xinmu gave people a new impression. That was that he could devour and copy the opponent's strength and moves. This kind of method wasn't considered too big of a deal among dragon-type martial artists. Didn't you see that the Dragon Emperor was only slightly surprised and didn't have any doubts? Only this Chu Qingyun was a troublemaker, pestering him endlessly. You said that you can use the middle-level Demon Soul's move, then, you should also be able to use the move I used in actual combat, right? Chu Qingyun coldly sneered and suggested, how about this? You and I will go up on the stage and compete. I will only use one move. If you can use my dragon-type martial skill, then you have nothing to do with the Void Demon. But if you can't use my dragon-type martial skill, then, shouldn't you give me an explanation? Alright. Kang Xinmu glanced at him and immediately agreed. Chu Qingyun was only at the peak of the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even if he cultivated in some powerful dragon martial techniques, he was still only at the level of a student in Yuheng District. To Kang Xinmu, no matter what Chu Qingyun used, he could easily devour and counterattack with the power of the Dragon's Car Blood Pendant. Thus, Chu Qingyun's suggestion was purely to humiliate himself. However, I promise to take one of your attacks. However, shouldn't you fulfill your promise and hand the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword to me first? Kang Xinmu said lightly. Hearing Kang Xinmu's words, Chu Qingyun was a bit embarrassed. But, he still braced himself and said, you can say that after you prove that you have nothing to do with the Void Demons. I, the dignified Chu Qingyun, would go back on my word? If he wanted to go back on his word and didn't hand over the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword in front of everyone, he would be thoroughly discredited. In the future, the students of the 4 great academies wouldn't look up to him. It was the same even for the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Even if Chu Qingyun could reach the level of the Super Dragon Emperor in the future, people still wouldn't have a good impression of him in their hearts. After all, this kind of behavior was the most disgusting. Moreover, even if Chu Qingyun really didn't want to hand over the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword, Kang Xinmu wasn't worried at all. Because there were mentors from the Emperor Shi Academy present. If Chu Qingyun went back on his word, how could the Dragon Emperor not care? Even if he had to snatch the Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword, he would snatch it. After all, this was what Kang Xinmu deserved after risking his life. Do as you wish. In any case, this Great Desolation Devil Vanquishing Sword doesn't belong to you anymore. Kang Xinmu didn't care. In any case, this thing already belonged to him. It was only a matter of time, so he wasn't in a hurry. Therefore, he retreated from the protective barrier. Today's challenge will end here. A middle-level devil spirit at the 4th stage of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm is already considered a limit for me. After some time, I will challenge stronger opponents. Okay. The beautiful red-dressed mentor from the Emperor Shi Academy welcomed Kang Xinmu outside the protective barrier. She had a smile on her face and was clearly in a good mood. After all, Kang Xinmu's performance this time was too shocking. It was even more shocking than she had imagined. She thought that the Emperor Shi Academy was really lucky to have such a student this time. That Donghuang Yangwu College's Xiaofan was probably regretting it to death, right? Such a talented student was actually forced into Emperor Shi's Dragon Force Academy. What a joke. Are you confident about the bet with Chu Qingyun later? The beautiful mentor asked softly. Yes. Kang Xinmu nodded. He wasn't just simply confident. He was absolutely certain that he would win. He was even more confident than the great desolation devil vanquishing sword that he would win. After all, this was just one move. Challenging a middle-level devil spirit still depended on one's luck. If the void demon was a defensive type, Kang Shinmu and the two ladies might not be able to kill it even if they worked together. Therefore, Kang Shinmu was considered lucky to have encountered one with extremely strong attack. Of course, in the entire training ground, the proportion of offensive void demons was extremely high. For Kang Shinmu, as long as his luck wasn't too bad, he wouldn't encounter any defensive void demons. Kang Shinmu left the protective barrier with the two ladies. Then, he flew straight to the void in front of Chu Qingyun and the others. He stared at Chu Qingyun and said, "Please." Chu Qingyun sneered, "Watch out." Chu Qingyun instantly transformed into a dragon. Following that, a tornado condensed in the surrounding void. It actually transformed into void wind blades that attacked Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. This is a high-grade source dragon martial skill. Kang Shinmu's expression changed slightly as he narrowed his eyes. Chu Qingyun's high-grade source dragon martial skill was clearly provided by Xiaofan. After all, this sort of cultivation resource was nothing to a powerhouse. It was much more convenient than providing heavenly materials, cultivation resources, and so on. Moreover, this was the main factor that allowed Xiaofan to increase his strength. High-grade source dragon martial skill, Void Storm Saber Array. Countless wind blades condensed and erupted from the void. Following that, they surrounded Kang Shinmu and swept towards him. If it was an ordinary 6th-stage Nirvana Tribulation Realm martial artist, they definitely wouldn't be able to resist this high-grade source dragon martial skill. If they couldn't escape, only death would await them. This was because this Void Storm Saber Array trapped the opponent in a void and used countless Storm Saber lights to kill them. Within the Void Storm Saber Array, the opponent's movements were restricted. No matter what movement they made, they would become incomparably slow. This was the strength of the Void Storm Saber Array. It was a killing move with a strong control effect. Let me see how you can replicate my dragon martial skill. Chu Qingyun sneered. Chapter 44:12. In the arena, everyone watched this scene with curiosity. Compared to the scene of Kang Shinmu killing the void demonic creature, no one thought that there would be any suspense in the battle between Kang Shinmu and Chu Qingyun. If they really fought, Kang Shinmu most likely wouldn't lose to Chu Qingyun. It was just that, could Kang Shinmu really absorb all of Chu Qingyun's high-grade source dragon martial skills and use them again? The dragon martial artists in the arena all stared at the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into. And at this moment, on Kang Shinmu's body, a blood-red, pitch-black devouring power suddenly erupted. This devouring power completely enveloped Kang Shinmu's body. The saber lights of the Void Storm Saber Array that were attacking him were completely swallowed up. To Kang Shinmu, this Chu Qingyun was simply too weak. Kang Shinmu could have easily killed Chu Qingyun. Now that he used his devouring power to devour his opponent's dragon martial skills, it was simply too easy. Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body didn't feel any burden at all. It wasn't like just now. When he devoured the attack of the 4th-level devil spirit, he felt as if his body was about to be torn apart. This kind of feeling meant that the opponent's attack had nearly reached the highest level of power he could devour. If the opponent's attack was any stronger, Kang Shinmu might fall into a coma if he completely devoured it. This was a situation that Kang Shinmu absolutely didn't want to happen. At this moment, Kang Shinmu didn't feel any pressure at all when dealing with Chu Qingyun. All of the saber lights of the Void Storm Saber Array were quickly devoured into Kang Shinmu's body. It was as if all of the saber lights had been absorbed by Kang Shinmu. The black dragon that Kang Xinmu had transformed into was like a black hole that swallowed everything, completely devouring Chu Qingyun's attack. What? Chu Qingyun felt that something was wrong. Void Storm Saber Formation. Right at this moment, Kang Xinmu's cold laughter came from the center of the devouring power that was wrapped in blood red. Following that, an illusory storm of saber light erupted from the void beside Chu Qingyun. This boundless saber light was exactly the same as the one that had erupted around Kang Xinmu. Impossible. Chu Qingyun had an inexplicable look on his face. He knew that someone would have such a technique, but what he had used was a high-grade origin source dragon martial technique. Moreover, he had once heard some rumors that some people could devour any attack from their opponents to counterattack. However, this kind of ability had a very big limit. Generally speaking, they could only devour opponents whose cultivation level was not higher than their own. Now, Kang Xinmu had really devoured his Void Storm Saber formation. Moreover, just now, Kang Xinmu had also devoured the attack of a 4th-tier Rebirth Tribulation Realm Void Demonic creature. This was too shocking, wasn't it? One had to know that before Kang Xinmu, there had been other similar devouring powers. However, without exception, all of them had their own flaws. Chu Qingyun had seen it in the ancient records. Either the devouring power couldn't be too strong, or the number of devouring times couldn't be too frequent. At the very least, it couldn't be like Kang Xinmu, who had devoured several times in a row. In the midst of his shock, Chu Qingyun gritted his teeth. A dragon-scaled saber filled with corrosive aura flew out from the back of his divine dragon body. As soon as the corrosive dragon-scale saber appeared, it brought with it an incomparably dense aura. In an instant, it brought up a saber-light barrier and swept across the surroundings, shattering the Nihility Storm Saber formation that was sweeping over. This is undoubtedly a talent for counterattacking. Immediately, a Dragon Emperor teacher from the South Emperor Dragon Martial Academy said lightly, as if he had seen through everything. This Kang Xinmu's talent for counterattacking is quite strong. Although Chu Qingyun's Void Storm Saber formation is a high-grade source dragon martial skill, he has only cultivated it to the Earth grade. It seems like he hasn't learned it for too long. The reason why I can be sure that Kang Xinmu has a talent for counterattacking is that the Void Storm Saber formation he used to counterattack is also at the Earth grade. Whether it is the aura, strength, or intensity, it is exactly the same as what Chu Qingyun used. Therefore, this also eliminates the possibility that Kang Xinmu has cultivated the Void Storm Saber formation before. It's just that his talent for counterattacking is a little too domineering. He can even devour the power of a middle-level devil spirit that is a major realm above him. This is really unexpected. I'm afraid that this is the strongest talent for counterattacking that has ever appeared in the history of our dragon martial arts. As the Dragon Emperor teacher from the South Emperor Dragon Martial Academy said this, everyone in the surroundings was convinced. All of them sighed with emotion. This Kang Xinmu was really too strong. On the other hand, some dragon martial arts students who were familiar with Kang Xinmu, such as Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua from the Donghuang Yangwu College, were dumbfounded. They had seen Kang Xinmu fight before, and they had even fought alongside Kang Xinmu many times. They never knew that Kang Xinmu had a talent for counterattacking. Originally, Kang Xinmu relied on his tyrannical divine dragon body and cultivated the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. He had never had such a talent for counterattacking. Could it be that this talent for counterattacking was Kang Xinmu's strongest trump card, and he had never used it before? If that was the case, why did he reveal it in public like this? They were somewhat puzzled. But no matter what, with the words of the Dragon Emperor teacher, no one doubted that Kang Xinmu had anything to do with the void demonic creatures. After all, this matter was nonsense and the possibility of it being true was extremely low. No one doubted it in the first place, and no one doubted it now. On the contrary, Chu Qingyun had become the laughing stock of the crowd. This guy was too stupid. He had forced his face to be hit by Kang Shinmu. Wasn't his face swollen now? Fortunately, he had only cultivated the Void Storm Saber formation to the Earth grade. Otherwise, Chu Qingyun might not have been able to withstand it. At that time, if Chu Qingyun was injured by his own attack, or even seriously injured, it would be fun. Even so, it was already very embarrassing for him. Chu Qingyun dispelled his divine dragon form. His face was extremely gloomy, and he turned to leave. "Don't forget your great desolate demon sword," Kang Shinmu reminded him. "Humph. Kang Shinmu, just you wait and see." Chu Qingyun was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Without looking back, he threw out the heaven-grade dragon weapon, the great desolate demon sword, and flew towards Kang Shinmu. In the direction. Kang Shinmu also dispelled his divine dragon form and held the great desolate demon sword in his hand. Suddenly, a wave of righteousness was transmitted from the great desolate demon sword, and Kang Shinmu felt warm all over. This is the great desolate demon sword. Righteousness is boundless, and the demon sweeping invincible. Chapter 44:13. The great desolate demon rinsing sword was in Kang Shinmu's hands. This heaven-grade dragon weapon could not unleash its full power in Chu Qingyun's hands, but Kang Shinmu might not be able to unleash its full power either. No matter what, he would have to try it out when he got back. Moreover, this was not the only harvest this time. Kang Shinmu led Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress to kill a 4th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit. This was a pretty good result. It was ranked first among the students in the Yuheng district. If this result persisted for a month, when the mission ended, Kang Shinmu and the other two would each get experience points equivalent to several years of what they usually got. Kang Shinmu could exchange for more than half of the high-grade origin source dragon martial skill. If I want to exchange for a whole high-grade origin source dragon martial skill, I need to work harder and get better results in the next mission. A 5th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit and a 6th-tier reincarnation state intermediate devil spirit. The high-grade origin dragon martial skill is the strongest dragon martial skill that the Dragon Martial Academy can impart to the students. The amount of experience points needed to exchange for it is practically astronomical. 1 month's worth of experience points is enough to exchange for one. You can imagine how generous the rewards for this mission are. Even in the Beast Abyss, no matter how lucky one is, it's impossible to get so many experience points in a month. Kang Shinmu knew. This was probably because of the invasion of the void monsters, and the 4 academies deliberately gave the students of the Dragon Martial Academy a form of stimulation and help. After all, the students of the Dragon Martial Academy needed enough cultivation resources to improve. For example, Chu Qingyun's strength could only be considered average, barely reaching the standards of the Yuheng district students. But after obtaining enough cultivation resources, Chu Qingyun's strength skyrocketed, almost touching the threshold of the Migres district. This was the change. However, according to the scale of the experience points reward, the existing cultivation resources of the 4 academies were not enough for the students to exchange for. There should be a large number of cultivation resources that will be provided in the future. These cultivation resources can't be from the Dragon Martial continent. They were transported from outside the Dragon Martial continent by the divine dragons. Kang Shinmu pondered. He temporarily put away the great wilderness demon sweeping sword. Following that, the beautiful teacher in the red dress from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy came forward with a face full of smiles. She pursed her lips and smiled at Kang Shinmu, saying, "Kang Shinmu, your strength is not bad. I hope you can continue to work hard. I will personally provide experience points to the 3 of you. Strive to defeat stronger opponents and earn more experience points before the end of this training." "Thank you, senior." Kang Shinmu nodded and bowed respectfully. Instructor Dragon Emperor said that it was a personal reward of experience points, but in reality, it was definitely given by Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. However, even if Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy were to give them, the amount would not be too much. After all, many cultivation resources were limited. If they gave too many experience points to Kong Shinmu, what would happen if Kong Shinmu used up all the cultivation resources? Of course, these experience points were not little. For Kong Shinmu, it was still very useful for him to improve. Then we will return to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy first. Kong Shinmu bid farewell to Instructor Dragon Emperor. There was no need for him to stay here and watch others challenge the void demons. After all, that would not be of much help to him. If he returned now, he could still improve his strength greatly in the following period of time. The key was to try to use the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword. Once he could use the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword, Kong Shinmu's combat strength would improve greatly. He could use the Dragon Mark Blood Pendant, which was also a heavenly dragon weapon. The Dragon Mark Blood Pendant would improve Kong Shinmu's combat strength by a lot. At the training ground, the dragon martial artist students from the 4 academies watched as Kong Shinmu and the other 2 left. They looked at them with respect. Although they were only students from the Yuheng district, from the combat strength they had shown, it would not be too far for them to step into the Migres district. If the rumor of the expansion of the training area was true, then they might directly go to the Migres district, or even the Fekta district to train. That would allow them to improve even faster. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. At the Experience Points Exchange Office, Kong Shinmu, Xiao Yuhua, and the girl in the white dress had all received the private reward from the beautiful instructor. The experience points were actually equivalent to the experience points that the Yuheng district students could get for half a year outside. This was quite good. After all, it was a free gift. Unfortunately, for Kong Shinmu, these experience points were of no use at all. He could exchange for treasures of heaven and earth to break through to the next level. But now, if he wanted to break through to the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he did not have the confidence to condense the Nirvana power. There was no need to be too anxious. And he had already cultivated the body refining dragon martial technique, the chaotic dragon body, to the peak of the heaven tier. There was no way to improve it further. Looks like I can only try and see if I can cooperate well with the great desolate demon sword. Kong Shinmu was somewhat helpless. Of course, he was not at a loss. In any case, he did not use his full strength against the 4th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Even if it was the attack of the 6th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm, he could directly resist it and devour the opponent's power for his own use. Now, he was afraid of encountering the defensive type of the middle-rank demon spirit. That would be really troublesome. After all, his own attack ability was not strong, and the 6th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm had extremely strong defense. At that time, if Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress were unable to break through the opponent's defense, the situation would be in a stalemate. Within a month, students only had 3 chances to challenge, so Kong Shinmu and the others only had 2 chances. It was impossible for them to admit defeat when encountering the defensive type of the middle-rank demon spirit. If the last one was still the defensive type of the middle-rank demon spirit, the situation would not be good. This time, the challenge to the 4th level of the middle-rank demon spirit would be the first to go down. This was also arranged in advance. It was too shocking to challenge all of them at once. Therefore, Kong Shinmu was more cautious. This time, he came back to improve first, which could also increase the combat strength of their 3-man team by a level. Most importantly, with the experience points that were awarded now, Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress could obtain a great improvement. Among them, the girl in the white dress was very likely to break through to the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Once she succeeded, her combat strength would more than double compared to now. Chapter 44:14. Do you have enough experience points to use? Kang Xinmu looked at the two girls and took the initiative to ask, I don't have any use for the experience points I rewarded this time. If you need them, I can lend them to you for the time being. You won't ask me to repay twice, right? Xiao Yuhua covered her mouth and chuckled. Of course not. Jiang Shenwu laughed heartily. It's just that I would like to exchange for a high-grade origin dragon martial skill a month later when I'm calculating my rewards. If I'm lacking some at that time, I hope the two of you can lend me some, no problem. The girl in white glanced at Kang Xinmu. If you lend me these experience points now, I can try to break through to the reincarnation realm. Without your experience points, I wouldn't have much confidence, but with yours, I can definitely break through. Hearing the girl in white's words, Xiao Yuhua couldn't help but shake her head. She smiled and said, then I'll give them to you. I originally wanted to borrow some, but your breakthrough is more important than mine, so there's no need for me to snatch them from you. Anyway, no matter who became stronger, it was all the same as long as they could kill a 6th-level reincarnation realm middle-rank devil spirit. That was the upper limit of the rewards for Yuheng District students. Even if they could kill stronger void monsters, there wouldn't be any more rewards. Therefore, their goal was the 6th-level reincarnation realm middle-rank devil spirit. In contrast, if the girl in white could advance to the reincarnation realm, it would be of greater help to them, so Xiao Yuhua took the initiative to give in. Thank you. The girl in white pursed her lips and smiled at Xiao Yuhua. She didn't stand on ceremony at all and directly borrowed the experience points that Kang Xinmu obtained this time. Soon, when the girl in white received Kang Xinmu's points, her expression changed slightly. What's wrong? Xiao Yuhua was a little curious. The experience points that he obtained this time are twice as much as mine. The girl in white sighed. It seems that the academy also thinks that Kang Xinmu has more potential than us. In that case, I'll only take half of it. The remaining half can be used by sister. When Kang Xinmu heard it, he felt a little surprised. He didn't expect that he would get a bigger reward than her. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes. It seemed like the Dragon Martial Academy really did treat every student differently. Of course, this was very normal. After all, the Dragon Martial Academy's cultivation resources were limited. Otherwise, they wouldn't have divided so many different areas for students of different levels to cultivate in. The greater one's potential, the more resources they would receive. Kang Xinmu shook his head and didn't think too much about it. As for Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they each borrowed half of the experience points that Kang Xinmu had obtained this time and went to prepare for their breakthroughs. Kang Xinmu was not idle either. After the three of them parted, Kang Xinmu went to visit Ran Ran alone. He found out that the little girl was also preparing to make a breakthrough in her cultivation. At the same time, she was also working hard to improve the cultivation of her chaotic dragon body. She was doing both at the same time. Once she succeeded, her battle prowess would definitely be on par with the Mizar district. If she improved a little more, it wouldn't be too difficult for her to reach the Yuheng district. After all, the areas that she was lacking in were rapidly improving. Once she balanced many areas, her battle prowess would have a qualitative change. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu didn't have the time to let Ran Ran cultivate the chaotic dragon body. Chapter 44:15. The Wind Bull Demon King was covered in a violent whirlwind. In the violent whirlwind, one could barely see its storm-like eyes. Without any words, the Wind Bull launched a powerful attack at Kang Xinmu the moment it saw Kang Xinmu. In the void of the dense forest, a series of violent storms appeared almost instantly. These storms were not the Wind Bull's full strength, but in its opinion, such power was enough to kill Dragon King, who was at the first level of the reincarnation realm. In front of it was only a young dragon king at the 6th level of the nirvana realm. He was too far away from the reincarnation realm, so there was no need for it to display its full strength. The wind bull felt that the storm it displayed was already too much for Kang Xinmu. However, to Kang Xinmu, such power was just like scratching an itch. Even if Kang Xinmu did not move, the wind bull would not be able to hurt him at all. An endless violent storm descended. Kang Xinmu, who had transformed into a black divine dragon, had no intention of dodging. With a slight movement of his body, a blood-red sword shadow burst out from the divine dragon's body. This blood-red sword shadow was a heaven-level dragon weapon, the Great Desolation Demon Sword. As soon as the heaven-level dragon weapon appeared, it immediately brought about a whirlwind. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth exploded in an instant. The Great Desolation Demon Sword swept the spiritual energy into countless sword shadows, explosively attacking the surroundings. This power is not bad. Kang Xinmu's eyes suddenly lit up. The Great Desolation Demon Sword was indeed a heaven-level dragon weapon. The higher the level of the dragon weapon, the more power it could exert in the hands of an expert. Originally, Kang Xinmu had some doubts that the Great Desolation Demon Sword would not be willing to cooperate with him. After all, the Great Desolation Demon Sword did not like lads like Chu Qingyun. Chu Qingyun had obtained the Great Desolation Demon Sword for a long time, but he had not been able to exert too much of its power. At this moment, the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword seemed to have been suppressed for a long time. Countless sword shadows swept out. Accompanied by Kang Xinmu's devouring talent, these sword shadows turned into streaks of black and red sword shadows. They instantly pierced through the violent storm released by the wind caller bull and shattered the storm from the center. A total of 8 violent storms swept towards Kang Xinmu. However, 8 more black and red sword shadows swept towards the 8 storms and shattered them into pieces. Accompanied by these sword shadows, Kang Xinmu's black dragon body whizzed towards the wind caller bull. The Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword is willing to be used by me. Although the devouring inherent skill doesn't seem to be a righteous existence, the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword doesn't seem to care. As long as it approves of my character, it's fine. Kang Xinmu understood. The Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword was unwilling to cooperate with Chu Qingyun. It was not because Chu Qingyun had mastered some evil power, but because of Chu Qingyun's character. Chu Qingyun's behavior was dark and sinister. It was no wonder that the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword, a righteous dragon weapon, was unwilling to cooperate with him. Now that it was in Kang Xinmu's hands, the Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword seemed to have sensed Kang Xinmu's difference. At least, it was willing to cooperate with Kang Xinmu and burst out its power to wipe away the depressing experience it had when it was attacked by Chu Qingyun. The Great Wilderness Demon Rinsing Sword Chi combined with Kang Xinmu's devouring power actually had the power to compete with the Wind Caller Bull at the 2nd level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. In the void, the Wind Caller Bull's blood splattered everywhere. The Virtual Dragon Sky Breaking and the Great Desolate Demon Sword's combined attack made the Wind Caller Bull unable to block it at all. As a demonic beast, the Wind Caller Bull's body had a very strong defense. It could be said that its skin was rough and its flesh was thick. However, the Great Desolate Demon Sword, as a heaven-level dragon weapon, was too powerful. Most importantly, Kang Xinmu's devouring power was strong. The Virtual Dragon Sky Breaking that Kang Xinmu executed was executed with the devouring power. His devouring power was at least 10 times stronger than the talent and nirvana force of others in the same realm. In other words, there was a gap of at least 3 realms. In addition, Kang Xinmu had condensed nirvana force twice, which was a gap of more than 5 realms. Therefore, even though Kang Xinmu was only at the 6th level of the nirvana tribulation realm, the dragon martial skill executed with the devouring power was equivalent to the dragon martial skill executed by those in the second level of the reincarnation tribulation realm or above. Now, together with the great desolate demon sword, it directly shattered the wind collar bull's attack, broke through its tough demonic beast body defense, and hit it heavily on the ground in the dense forest. The violent shock almost spread throughout the entire dense forest. The great desolate demon sword turned into a blood-red sword shadow and floated above the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into, releasing a strong power that shook the world. The dragon weapon had the ability to increase the power of the dragon martial artist, and could also add some special effects. This was the function of the dragon weapon. It was not an easy task to be compatible with the dragon weapon, or even to fuse with it. Previously, Kang Shinmu had spent a long time fusing with the heavenly sacred halberd. He had experienced many thrilling battles. Now, for the great wilderness devil-rinsing sword to fully exert its power, it was not an easy task. On the other hand, the dragon mark blood pendant, a heaven-level dragon weapon, seemed to have a natural compatibility with Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu had only obtained it for a short while, but he could already exert most of its power. The power of the dragon mark blood pendant allowed Kang Shinmu's devouring nirvana force to transform into the reincarnation force. He could devour the opponent's power for his own use. In the next half a month's time, Kang Shinmu had been in this dense forest, carefully searching and vigilantly attacking the monster kings. There were quite a number of monster kings in this dense forest. Originally, when the Dragon Emperor country reported to Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Academy, they asked the students of the Migres zone to form teams and come over. Otherwise, these monster kings might escape or even kill them. When Kang Shinmu accepted the mission and arrived, the person in charge of this matter from the Dragon Emperor country was in a difficult position. Obviously, the other party felt that Kang Shinmu's cultivation level was too low. If he entered the dense forest, he would be lucky to survive, let alone kill those monster kings of the reincarnation realm. However, in the past half a month, all the monster kings in the dense forest had been wiped out by Kang Shinmu alone. Originally, the mission only required him to kill one of the monster kings. After all, if he were to kill all of them, it would take a lot of time and effort, and he might not succeed. Moreover, if he killed one of them, the other monster kings might escape. However, the one who killed them was Kang Shinmu. Chapter 44:17. Kang Shinmu returned to Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. The mission he completed this time did not give him many experience points, but it allowed him to unleash the power of the great desolate demon-rinsing sword, which increased his attack power by at least 3 times. This was the power of a heaven-level dragon weapon. Now that Kang Shinmu had the great desolate demon-rinsing sword, he was much more confident in dealing with the void demons. After returning to Emperor Xi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy after half a month, Kang Shinmu received 3 pieces of good news. Ran used the experience points awarded by the Academy to directly cultivate the chaotic dragon body to the dragon level. She was only 1 step away from the peak of the heaven level. Moreover, she had also broken through her cultivation realm and reached the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. These 2 improvements had at least doubled her combat strength. Not only had her defense improved, but her overall combat strength had also improved. Now, even if she was alone, she could withstand more than 10 moves from a low-level demon soldier. This was a qualitative change. It was very difficult to cultivate the body-refining dragon-type martial arts, and one would usually suffer a lot. It could be said that these days, Ran had been in pain. Her divine dragon body had been constantly attacked by Liang Xiao, and she was in a state of serious injury almost all the time. If it was not for her amazing willpower, others would not have been able to endure for so long. Kang Shinmu was used to this kind of pain, but for a girl, this kind of pain was obviously not that easy to endure. However, when he thought about how Ran Ran grew up in an assassin organization, it made sense. Although she had lost all her memories of being in the Dark Dragon group, those experiences and the ability to endure pain were still left behind. Now that she was cultivating the body-refining dragon-type martial arts, she could more easily endure that kind of pain. Of course, the pain was very heavy. Even if Ran Ran could endure it, she could only do it by clenching her teeth. If she relaxed even a little during this period, it was very likely that her chaotic dragon body would not be able to break through to the dragon level. In particular, if she wanted her chaotic dragon body to make a breakthrough in such a short period of time, the pressure she would have to endure would be even greater, and the pain she would have to endure would be even greater. When Liang Xiao saw this, he didn't have the heart to heavily injure her at first. However, under her repeated requests, Liang Xiao had no choice but to explode his innate ability with all his might. The power of the blood explosion spell completely exploded on Ran Ran's body. No one could imagine how much pain Ran Ran had suffered in this short period of half a month. Even the pain that some dragon martial artists had endured in their entire lives was not as much as what Ran Ran had endured in this half a month. This was the only way to cultivate the body-refining dragon martial technique. Without such a tempered body, how could the body of a divine dragon become as tough as a steel fortress? It was the same for Kong Shinmu when he was cultivating. He had suffered all kinds of hardships. There was no shortcut to cultivating the body-refining dragon martial technique. Kong Shinmu and Ran Ran's advantage was that their divine dragon body could recover quickly. Whether it was Kong Shinmu's devouring power or Ran Ran's dark dragon filth technique, they were all methods to quickly recover from their injuries. Although they could recover quickly, the pain they had to endure during cultivation was tens to hundreds of times faster than normal. It was much, much more painful than others. If one could recover quickly, it would be easier to master the body-refining dragon martial technique. However, there were not many dragon martial artists who could endure such pain. When Kong Shinmu returned, Ran Ran had already gone to the demonic beast training grounds with Liang Xiao and the others. This time, they were going there to break the record. As for the other two pieces of good news that Kong Shinmu received, they were related to him. The first was that the white-dressed girl had successfully broken through to the first stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm and became a Rebirth Tribulation Realm dragon martial artist. It was rare to see such a young Rebirth Tribulation Realm. However, she had used all the time she had absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy to cultivate. Her Dragon King blood essence was only at the 5th level. She was weaker than all the Rebirth Tribulation Realm dragon martial artists. Of course, this was only for the students of the 4 dragon martial academies. In the outside world, not to mention the Dragon King, even sacred dragons, sky dragons, or even true dragons could cultivate to the Rebirth Tribulation Realm as long as they were old. There were many true dragon martial artists at the Rebirth Tribulation Realm in the Jiang clan. The white-dressed girl had broken through to the first stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Her battle prowess had increased by at least 3 times. Kong Shinmu's current attack power was about the same as the white-dressed girl's in the past. However, the white-dressed girl's attack power now far exceeded Kong Shinmu's. Her attack power alone was comparable to the combined attack of 3 Kong Shinmu's. This was the genius students of the Dragon Martial Academy. The students of the Dragon Martial Academy were geniuses, but the white-dressed girl and Xiao Yuhua were geniuses among geniuses. They were stronger than ordinary students. The white-dressed girl was only at the first stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, but she could easily defeat opponents at the 4th stage of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm. Of course, this was only in terms of attack power. If defense, speed, and other factors were considered, she might not be able to defeat the Rebirth Tribulation Realm Dragon King, Demon King, or Demon Spirit. As for Xiao Yuhua, she had cultivated the high-grade source of dragon martial technique to the peak of the heaven rank. This dragon martial technique was called Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens. It was a high-grade source of Dragon Martial Academy's unique legacy. Xiao Yuhua had always been regarded as a genius, but she had never shown her true genius side in front of Kang Xinmu. In fact, Xiao Yuhua was very proficient in all kinds of dragon martial techniques. Moreover, she could only use one type of attack dragon martial technique at the same time. Previously, she had been using flowers don't speak, rivers run red. It was a part of the source of dragon martial technique that she had cultivated before. However, in reality, she had always been practicing the high-grade origin source dragon martial art technique, Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens. This was a powerful dragon martial art technique that she had exchanged for 2 years of experience points. It was considered the signature dragon martial art technique of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. However, she had never cultivated Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens to the peak of the heaven rank. Therefore, she had never used it in front of outsiders. Now, her Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens had finally reached the peak. As a genius, she had cultivated Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens for 2 years to reach the peak of the heaven rank. It was already very impressive. It should be known that many Dragon Emperor instructors had spent 4 to 5 years to cultivate this technique to the peak of the heaven rank. Therefore, Xiao Yuhua could at least become a Dragon Emperor instructor in the future. That would be a strong practitioner above the 5th level of the Dragon Emperor. She could even become a super divine dragon. That was the ultimate goal of the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. It was just that very few people could achieve it. When Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens reached the peak of the heaven rank, Xiao Yuhua would throw away all her previous dragon martial techniques. Phoenix Dance Burning the Nine Heavens was not just a simple attack dragon martial technique. Its overall combat power was very strong. Chapter 44:18. Outside the Dragon Martial Continent. Kang Xinmu returned with the 2 girls in the starry sky where many void monsters were gathered. It had been more than half a month since they last came here. There were only 5 days left until the end of this trial. Kang Xinmu was not in a hurry. They were fully prepared anyway, and they still had 2 more chances. 5 days was more than enough for them to defeat the 5th and 6th level devil spirits. When they arrived, many students from the Dragon Martial Academy had their attention focused on them. The void within the protective barrier was where void monsters were imprisoned, so the number of Dragon Martial Academy students here was much higher. However, when Kang Xinmu came this time, he found that there were more Dragon Martial Academy students here than last time. He even saw many familiar faces. For example, Donghuang Yangwu College's Yu Tianshang and Emperor Qin. These 2 were students from the Core Heaven Center district of Donghuang Yangwu College. Their battle prowess was at the peak among the students, and they had basically been fighting void monsters near the void fissure. However, in the last 7 days, these top students still came to this trial ground. As students of the Dragon Martial Academy, they naturally needed experience points to cultivate. Previously, they had killed many void demonic creatures near the void rift and earned experience points without killing them. However, it was life-threatening. If they were not careful, they could die near the void fissure and never return. They earned a lot of experience points, but they could only get them through blood and fire. The rewards of the trial ground were also effective for the Heaven Center District students. They naturally had to come back to earn some experience points in the last few days. Each Dragon Martial Academy had 3 students from the Heaven Center District, so there were 12 of them in total. When Kang Xinmu arrived, the 12 of them were almost all there. Their goal was to hunt down those middle-rank devil generals and even high-rank devil generals. The stronger the opponent they could kill, the more experience points they could obtain. Although this harvest could not compare to the experience points they gained from fighting near the void chasm and hunting void beasts, it was still a considerable amount and could be considered a decent income. They would not let go of such an opportunity to earn extra money. To them, every bit of cultivation resources must be cherished and not wasted. It represented how long it would take for them to break through to a higher level and become the Dragon Emperor's mentor. Apart from Yu Tianchong and Emperor Qin, Kong Xinmu also met the strongest student of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, Feng Ligay. It was a valiant and formidable-looking woman, who seemed to be recuperating off to the side. I heard that Feng Ligay killed a high-rank devil general near the Void Chasm and suffered some injuries. He is currently recuperating. Kong Xinmu heard someone nearby explain. He nodded. Right now, he, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed young lady were all famous figures in the 4 Dragon Martial Academies, so there were naturally people who wanted to befriend them. Very soon, they arrived at the training ground. The challenge training was about to end, and the deadline was approaching. Hence, there were many more students coming to challenge than before. Basically, there were students challenging at every moment in the training ground. How has your cultivation been for the past half a month? Suddenly, a voice sounded in the ears of Kong Xinmu and the other two. Following that, a beautiful woman wearing a long red dress appeared in front of them. It was the Dragon Emperor's mentor from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, who was in charge of the training. I've improved quite a bit. Thank you, mentor. Kong Xinmu immediately bowed respectfully. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed young lady did the same. Although they knew that the experience points they obtained were actually given by the academy, it was a fact that the beautiful mentor in front of them had also taken care of them. In the past half a month, have there been any other students from the Yuheng district who challenged and defeated the middle-rank devil spirits? Kong Xinmu asked with a little concern. There have been. One of them is that Chu Qingyun. He broke through to the first level of the Samsara realm a while ago. This is because Donghuang Yangwu College has put in a lot of effort to nurture him. The beautiful Dragon Emperor chuckled and said, perhaps the academy doesn't allow Chu Qingyun to lose to you, who left Donghuang Yangwu College. This mentality was understandable. So how many cultivation resources did Chu Qingyun obtain? It was too terrifying. Breaking through to the first level of the Samsara realm in a short period of time was not something that could be achieved with a little bit of cultivation resources. The white-dressed young lady had been accumulating and preparing for this day. It could be said that she had accumulated a lot of resources, so she just happened to break through to the Samsara realm. But this Chu Qingyun. How long had it been since he broke through? If he wanted to break through to the Samsara realm so quickly, he would need more than just cultivation resources. If he didn't have enough talent and wanted to forcefully break through, he would need at least 10 times more cultivation resources than usual. If 10 times the resources were used on Chu Qingyun, it was understandable that he would be able to improve like this. If he couldn't even do this, then he might as well just die. No matter what, he was still a student of the Yuheng district of the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy. He definitely had this bit of talent. This Chu Qingyun wasn't that bad. He was just slightly weaker when compared to top talents like Yu Tianchong and Kong Xinmu. Chu Qingyun led a team and killed a 5th-level Samsara realm middle-rank devil spirit. The beautiful teacher continued, but they had already used up their 3 chances. That 5th-level middle-rank devil spirit was lucky enough to encounter a defense-type void demonic creature, so they barely managed to kill it. Other than Chu Qingyun's team, the strongest teams from the South Deity Dragon Martial Academy and the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy have already killed a 4th-level Samsara realm middle-rank devil spirit. Their results are not bad. Of course, I believe that among the 4 academies, your team is the best and strongest. You have to work hard when you return. At the very least, you can't lose to Chu Qingyun's team. How about it? Are you confident? The beautiful teacher narrowed her eyes and asked. Of course I'm confident. No matter what, I can't lose to Chu Qingyun, right? Kong Xinmu's lips curled up. I just got a little familiar with the great desolate demon sweeping sword that he won. If I lose to Chu Qingyun, I will be ashamed of the great desolate demon sweeping sword. So, I won't let that happen.